beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
Damn right.
There you go. Wait a minute, what's happening over here? I don't know what's happening. Let's. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now I have to mute that. Now we're okay.
So
Hello,
before we get
everybody.
completely derailed as always,
Of course.
who is the master of Scrabble? The guy who can't spell properly.
There you go.
Yeah,
For some reason, I kill at Scrabble. I challenge anybody.
It's an interesting game with me and Soft Girl because I can't spell. She's very good with it. But I'm generally better at game strategy.
Okay, then. Geez, we've only got 4 people here. What the hell, man?
Okay, so let's see who we got in the side chat.
Well, I just saw Skits Crasher come in.
Skits Crasher has been there for like half an hour already.
Oh, that
Yep.
shows you how much I've been
Marie
paying
and
attention.
Mark Caesar and Commander 401.
I saw stool.
No, Doc, don't die on us. I'm supposed to do that.
You know,
I wasn't the one dying.
it was
No.
me. I have first world problems. I don't know which pipe to smoke out of, but this one like is kind of leaky, and Doc disappeared.
As he says, he's not the one dying.
Oh, man. Oh, where did everybody go? Oh, he's...
Yeah, I wonder where Jenny is.
Yeah.
People are filing back in.
Oh,
Boo-foo.
Mark Caesar. See, Mark Caesar is correct. I start looking up Finnish words, and no one can defeat me at Scrabble.
All
those
right.
foreign words aren't allowed. That doesn't help.
Well, you've never played with me. I play no holds barred.
Hey, Dog, how you doing, hon?
Cage Scrabble.
Oh,
Hey, dog. Do people? I have another question. Do people
there's Jenny.
play? Do people play board games anymore, or it's
I
all
do.
online?
I'd like to find some people who do. I love board games.
Well, there's
moved to
baseball. That's
Minnesota.
a board game.
Jenny, we're like 4 or 5 games in, and you're already upsetting Lord Baseball.
I'll be right back.
We just got over preseason. Matter of fact, I bet it's on TV right now. Where's my remote?
Oh, man.
Thank you for reminding me.
Most of last night, I was listening to my Nationals get ground into a powder. I think they lost 13-4. I think it was.
Ooh.
That's right after they had won a game, 11-1, I think.
You know, 3 nights ago or 2 nights ago, I was watching hockey, and the Kings are mediocre. We're in second place, but the Western Division isn't always the most solid. Okay, so
Fine.
we were playing the Minnesota Wild. All of a sudden, the Kings went up 3-0, and I was like, oh, "We're actually going to get a win." They scored 7 goals. They slaughtered the Kings. So I know how it is when your team just goes up and throws up a goose egg for no reason.
I'm still second guessing myself. I bought a ticket to Friday's game, and I'm still questioning whether I should have spent the money. But
go to a game.
It's going to be interesting because it's a Friday evening game, and then I have dialysis Saturday morning. So I don't know what time I'm going to get home because the game I think is at 7:05, either at 7:05 or 7:35. So I'm probably not going to get home before 11.
Do you know what I do is you go there, have the experience, and leave in like the 7th or 8th inning.
Oh, I hate doing that. I really do.
Well, you know, if you have time restraints.
You've got to stay till the 9th at least.
Hey, honey, how you
Well, here's the thing.
doing?
Are you guaranteeing it's going to go to the 9th?
Well, in baseball, it goes 9 innings.
Yeah, it definitely goes 9 innings.
Yeah, but
it might go more.
Yeah, but is the 9th inning just going to be like a waste of time because the other team's like 7 runs up or something?
Exactly.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
No, Phoebes, there's been games where a team has been down that bad and comes back with 10 runs.
And let's not forget.
Yeah, but the chances of that happening in this day and age, it's like, that's match fixing.
You know, I used to say that, and then in the early 2000s, the Boston Red Sox were the first team that I ever saw come back from a 3-0 deficit as far as
Red Sox.
being in a series. So it happens.
I was at a game where that almost happened. I was at 5 years ago, and they were down. I think it was 10-0, or maybe 6-0 in the 6th inning, and the Cubs damn near pulled it off. I mean, they lost 13-10, but they came all the way back, including 4 home runs in 1 inning, 3 of them consecutive. And I was there for it. It was beautiful.
That's awesome.
Okay, we need a vote here. I do not think billiard counts as a board game. I also don't think it counts as a sport.
Billiards?
But, okay.
You know, pub games are kind of in a
It is a
separate
sport,
category.
damn it.
No, pub
It
games are a
certainly is.
separate category.
Are we
Sports
talking-
sports.
Are we talking pool or
Snooker
the billiards table that you pick up?
Takes more skill than most other sports.
Are we talking?
Yeah, no,
And
I'm
it
not
uses
talking
balls.
now.
It's a sport.
Billiards.
It's more with how good you are at the math than it is about any athletic prowess.
You know what though? I consider chess a sport. So I don't know.
Well, okay,
No, you
chess
know what's a sport? Dodgeball with billiards balls. That's a sport.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what crazy Americans do, which I have fun
Isn't that
every
called
time I go.
dodgeball?
I'm like, I don't know why we do this. Is paintballing.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
Paintballing is huge where I live.
I've never done it, and I really have no desire to do it either.
All the people my age that go, they're of the PTSD sort, so I don't go anymore because there's always a fight in the parking lot, or it's always some like macho show off. Good times.
Okay, do airsoft.
Huh? What?
Airsoft is just as toxic. You know, I'm as a over 40, the younger generation gets in more fist fights. Even in my day, we were violent, and we never got in that many fist fights.
You sound like a character from. You sound like a character.
We were
created
too
by
stoned to
Matt
get
Stone
in
and
fist
Trey
fights.
That's what I'm saying, Jenny. Exactly. Like we were getting hammered. We were drinking. I drank so much as a kid that I quit drinking when I was 21 because it wasn't fun anymore because I could legally do it.
Okay, and Phoebe Stool needs to know what you're eating.
I am eating rice, chicken, grated carrot with a Phoebe special sauce.
Ketchup or mayo?
Wait a minute. Is that anything like Ben Shapiro's secret sauce?
Ew. I'm gonna make
Up
the
your
news.
arse, Jenny.
The day I see him, I'm gonna make the news.
Oh my!
Every time
And
they
I'll
show,
be eating your soul.
whenever they show a clip of him outside, I'm like, guy, you live within 15 miles of my house.
Oh my! That's horrible.
He does.
Peri chicken with.
Yeah, I was about to highlight the scenery of Jenny's room.
Pardon me?
I was about to highlight the scenery you always show us. So
Oh, it's been a while since we've been
I'm
in
home.
your room.
I'm home today. I just too sleepy to go out anywhere, and
Yeah, Mark Caesar wondered whether you had a flat.
She lives
you
in a
got through
house.
the tornadoes last night, okay though?
yeah, oh yeah, everything's
Question
fine.
for
You
you,
didn't
Jenny.
lose power or anything?
Are you
I
on
mean,
your
I don't know.
mobile
I don't know
today?
about damage out there. I know I wasn't damaged, but there was,
Yeah,
I guess, total of like 3 or 4 tornadoes in this area.
but
Wow.
you didn't have the power go out.
No, but I was right underneath
There's
a
a
couple of
total
really
eclipse of
big
the
fucking
heart.
thunder booms. It was, the kind that rattled your teeth.
Stool, you don't have a license for dogging. You just have to
Yeah.
So
have
wonderful
Moxie.
Wasn't Moxie the dog on Battlestar Galactica?
It was
Annoying.
So Jenny,
my coach used to tell me he hated my Moxie back in the day.
are you in Tornado Alley?
Yep.
I'm a little north of
Jenny, you in Tornado
the
Alley?
real tornado alley, but this area is very heavy in tornadoes compared to the rest of the country. East and West Coast don't get many. Midwest gets them all, and further south than here it gets way more than we do.
That's because it's flat.
I've seen a tornado, but it was in Kansas.
I want to know something
West-
about the UK.
What?
So whilst you Americans have your giant tornadoes, in the UK we have the most number of tornadoes per square mile of any country on Earth.
Why is that? Because the UK is 5 square miles?
Hey, tiny captain.
Iowa has hurricanes. Beat
No,
that.
it's because we have a lot of anticyclonic pressure. And we also have a lot of heat coming the Gulf Stream.
Okay.
And who was the first to explain the phenomenon of the existence of the Gulf Stream?
Saddam Hussein.
Benjamin Franklin.
The existence of the Gulf Stream wasn't there.
The existence, Benjamin Franklin.
Greatest American.
Okay, I
that
wasn't
ever
sure
lived.
about the existence. I know that Ben Franklin mapped it on his several passes across the Atlantic.
Also, pen name Goody Do Wife. I use that all the time. So if you see it, it's me. I have a soft account.
Yeah, we didn't get any tornadoes here last night, but we certainly had the big thunder and lightning.
Yeah, we had a nasty storm here.
So
It's windy and beautiful and sunny here in Southern California.
I'm used to thunderstorms and stuff, but this one was
Asshole.
different. I was scared all night. It was really quite unnerving.
Well, welcome to climate change, huh?
Yeah, well, we had 70-mile-an-hour winds. That's hurricane shit.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it
right.
is.
And now the temperatures dropped, and this morning we're back to snow.
Yeah, it is.
That's crazy to me because we've skipped over spring and it's officially
the Pole
summer.
scale
Here.
says that's about
Uh-huh.
7, Jenny.
It
Well,
was
we skipped over spring and summer, and we're back to winter.
it
Yeah.
was 91 degrees 4 days ago.
Yeah,
I
no
was like,
devil.
where am I? I just was not ready for the heat so early.
You're
It
not in
dropped
Kansas
back
anymore.
down to 20 degrees before sunrise here.
My grapevines are yesterday I spent half the day in my backyard because everything's growing already. My grapes are coming back. My chili pepper plant was like, hey, I've been growing for a month and you didn't even know.
What, did a couple of the peppers fall into your seeds sprout or something, or what?
I've had when it was given to me, it was called an Asian chili. It's just really hot and it has no natural predators because the raccoons, possums, cats, they're all smart enough to not eat it. So,
So
and
now
I've had it there for. Sorry, what's that?
being that it's growing, what is it, a perennial or something? Or did last year's fruits
No,
sprout?
Okay.
it comes back every year. And
This just shows the cats and raccoons are smarter than the humans. This is what I keep telling people, who boast about eating these hot peppers, that these things have spent the last 8 million years trying to become poisonous.
I cut like a corner off and put it in my salsa, and you get that like deep sweat. So the chilies are no joke. But my grapes are coming back, and I'm also growing potatoes, and we'll see what happens with the corn.
Are they going to be American potatoes or those little itty bitty British potatoes?
No, they're huge. No, they're
Okay.
they're
Good
they're,
American potatoes.
Yeah, they're.
You mean
We-
spring potatoes?
we do something to our food.
GMOs, man.
Do you know when I went overseas, the one thing I was not prepared for was my drug withdrawal from sugar. Because the amount of sugar we put in our food is unreal. And
Absolutely.
I was gone for 7 months as an adult, I was gone for 7 months the first time, and I was not prepared for that. But there's a Starbucks everywhere, so you just go to the counter and pour sugar in your coffee, you're good.
Ugh.
Oh, my.
Just the whole idea of sugar in coffee or tea just gives me the creeps.
I've been drinking because of my asthma. Someone told my father when I was a kid, like, oh, if you can't breathe, give him coffee. What they really did was give me a lifelong addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been drinking the poor man's latte since I was probably 6 or 7 years old.
Well, a good caffeine jolt can break an asthma attack.
Mm-hmm.
My parents would not let me drink coffee until I was 18 in the house. I had a job that took me out in a shopping center area that had a restaurant, and I started drinking coffee there. But at home, they thought that they kept me from drinking until I hit 18. Sorry, Mom.
My
I'm a
parents
druggie.
My parents wouldn't let me to drink soda. I didn't drink Coke regularly until I was 25.
Okay, then. Now, I was a heavy coffee drinker at the age of 10. I mean,
That's what yeah,
my mom
exactly.
always had a pot of coffee on the stove. She'd make a pot of coffee, put the milk in it in the saucepan, and anytime you wanted a cup of coffee, you went to the stove, you heated it up. By the time you got that last cup out of that pan, it was road tar.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I've been, Mark Caesar, I love your comment. I've been drinking coffee so long that I have to make it strong.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So, like, I always say, like, is this leaded? Is this I can't even necessarily drink, like 7-Eleven coffee anymore. Or, there's this one guy, this one job I had on Lancashire, he would make stew.
Oh, God.
But it's like my blood type now. So my coffee is medicinal. My coffee is medicinal. It's so strong, it's sad.
Yeah, I like 7-Eleven coffee. Not them specifically, but I know what you mean. The gas station convenience store type weak coffee.
I used to make
That's
coffee
what I grew
shots.
up on, and that's what coffee should taste like. all these coffee shops that had put in 5 times as many grounds and just make it this bitter mess of yuck. It's just give me half of it as hot water, and it'll start to get good.
I used to make coffee shots for my fiance that, I would brew the coffee and then I would simmer it down to, about 1/5 of its original volume. Just steaming the water out of it. She loved them.
I still have to this day fond memories of the coffee I had at a Lebanese restaurant in Milwaukee, maybe about 30 years ago. You could turn the cup upside down and it would stay in there.
Was that Arabian Bites on Farwell?
Arabian Bites?
The coffee shop.
Oh, jeez, I can't remember what the place was called anymore. I mean, it had to be over 30 years ago that I was there.
Well, Arabian Bites has been there at least that long.
Yeah, it's my memory that I'm commenting about.
Have you guys ever?
I can't remember my own name.
Sorry. Have you ever heard of mate?
Mate, what is that?
It's an Argentine. It's like an Argentine tea.
Oh,
So,
no,
I-
I've never heard of
I
that.
had a good friend who was like, "Oh, you like coffee?" I learned there are certain cultures, and Italian coffee is the same. Boba is the same. If I'm shaking like this, it super succeeds coffee. It is no longer coffee. It has turned into a drug. Because I like strong coffee, but I don't like to be jittery.
Okay, so what do you think of chilled coffee?
Chilled coffee? I like iced coffee.
I like it too. I don't even
my
mind.
fiance was a big fan of it.
So
I don't even mind my coffee going cold, but I load it with enough creamer. It's like no big deal anyway.
I take my iced coffee with a heavy shot of Jameson.
I'm obsessed. I know it's not a shock. During this, I have mason jars where I ferment it in my refrigerator. I'm obsessed with iced coffee, and I learned working at the gayest Starbucks on earth in West Hollywood on Robinson's Boulevard. If you're ever in West Hollywood on the gay side of town, it's WeHo 2 Starbucks. I worked there 24 years ago. And that's where my iced coffee obsession began.
Okay, then.
You're all adulterers, all of you. Coffee belongs to be black, no cream, no sugar, no whiskey, no ice, no cinnamon, no vanilla, none of that crap.
There's the perfect comment.
I don't know
Hazelnut.
anything about coffee, but I
And it
am
should
an adult.
not only be black, but should be percolated, cooked.
I have a percolator. I have all my grandma's old coffee makers. Oh, now I'm craving some stiff coffee.
I wish I had my Babka's percolator. That thing was beautiful. It was one of those. It looked like cast iron.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was that heavy. And with the little glass knob up on the top and all that other horse shit and everything. It was beautiful.
I'm old enough to remember when drip coffee makers were a new thing.
I think percolator. The word percolator is one of those words that you can stump kids on nowadays. These 20-year-olds, and you say percolator, and they go, "What? Huh? What?"
That was like the day that Isaiah grabbed a cassette tape, and he was like, "What is this? What does this do?" He was in the wrong row. I showed him. I was like, "You're joking, right?" But I forget sometimes. We're from a different planet compared to these kids. Like if I was in this room and I said DOS, if I said DOS, see DOS run.
Yeah.
You guys get that. You guys get that. If I was with someone 20 years younger, they would think that I was having a stroke.
No, it's C: enter.
You have to ask for permission first.
Hans, you just had to remind me, didn't you? Jeff still owes me a cold brew. He's got to come back from the dead.
It is true that anyone under 30, try explaining to them what life was like before the internet. When you actually had to go to a library and find a book to look things up.
Yeah.
I sat back and I thought about that in my own life, my own personal life, what it was like before the internet, and I would not want to go back to that for anything in the world. It's like, oh my God, it was so primitive of an existence. I just can't believe how different life is with the internet. It's amazing.
No, I agree, because just sitting in this room, I've created my own command center. I have my computers going. I have Zoom meetings from I don't even have to go to my job. I have Zoom meetings with my crew. They go and do their thing. I have a security camera right here. 30 years ago, none of this would have been possible. 40 years ago, people would have thought I was just a shut-in.
Well, I was.
Well, I
just
mean, you know, what we're doing right now, nobody even thought of the possibility of something like this back when we were kids.
I know this is
sure we did.
even
Some
with
of us did.
but even with something like legalized pot, every time I go to the pot shop and I go in there, in my head, I'm like, I live in the future. I live in the
Well-
future.
What we're doing now is something that, you read about in science fiction novels about people talking to each other through their TVs.
Exactly.
It
Or-
was amazing, though. I think it was 1968. I think that I was at a what do you want to call it? I guess it was something like a World's Fair in Cleveland, but it wasn't quite a World's Fair. But I was actually talking on a prototype video phone type thing. I mean, it was, the size of a school locker, but it was just totally amazing that I'm sitting there and I'm saying, God, I'm talking to somebody on the other side of the room and I'm seeing their face, one of these things. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what are you going to do? And I don't know, maybe I got lucky or something, because the high school I was at ran a computer time sharing system. I was at the high school that was the command center, if you will, and we were hooked up to 2 other high schools. And God, it was so much fun. Over 100 baud acoustic couplers. It was amazing.
Somewhere in this room hoarding, I have a bunch of Future Life magazines from the early 80s, and it's hilarious of how they thought we would be living just in the year 2000. They thought we would be cyborgs. We would be living on the moon, know. No,
Yeah,
we're still
Mark
we're-
Caesar.
Mark, I do remember punch cards. As a matter of fact, I remember fondly sitting at an IBM 029 machine punching cards for an 1130. I was writing assembly language programs.
When I went to the Technical Institute 1982 through 84, we did our first 2 units on punch cards.
Okay, then.
And then we were the very first class to use the new high-tech screen editors that took an 8-inch floppy disk.
Wow! Yay!
But
And they were really floppy too.
The thing I will remember most about punch cards is, the instructor stressing, always keep Band-Aids on your deck. And, well, we saw firsthand why, because we were standing in line waiting to feed our programs into the machine. And one guy set his deck on top of the printer and bent down to tie his shoe. And the printer ran out of paper and the lid automatically came up. And yeah, he spent the night resequencing 350 some cards.
Oof.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta admit the future is pretty groovy, and of course by the future I mean the present. Back in the day we called it the future.
Oh God.
I feel like sometimes I do feel like we live in the future, or like maybe this is just the best we got. Even with my phone, I can go in my backyard, sit in my fountain, and watch anything I want. Like, I do feel like we live in the future.
And the idea that with your phone or your tablet, you actually have something you can carry around and you can watch TV anywhere if you're, sitting in the doctor's office waiting.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I remember in the 70s, portable meant anything that they screwed a handle onto the top of.
Yes.
Portable TVs weighed 70 or 80 pounds.
Oh gosh, that's like my Singer 301A. It was the first portable sewing machine. It weighs like 30 pounds.
My first portable Mac, the Mac Portable, weighed 26 pounds and was in a briefcase about like this and about this thick.
Yep.
Hey, Mark,
Couldn't fit anything else in the briefcase, but
Mark,
And what did it have? Like a 4-inch screen?
No, it was oh gosh, how big was it? It was a little smaller than the desktop model, but not terribly so.
I remember the Compaq and the K Pro portable computers.
Yeah,
I was just about to
with the
bring
little
up
thing on the front
Pro.
panel.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Mark, the tape drives. Do you remember paper tape? That was fun.
What's wrong with that? Reminds me, I need to order a new VHS to. Is it high C? I can't remember. To high C adapter. I have to look at my old tapes.
Huh? What?
There's 2 Doc Fearsomes.
I'm having issues.
I'm sorry. Is it high 8? High 8?
Yes, high 8.
High C is a rapper and a great drink.
High 8 was what just preceded the first digital cassette cameras.
I had because of my pops was obsessed with technology, he would give me all his old cameras, and so I had a high 8 or whatever back in the day, and I have a ton of tapes, but I lost my VHS adapter, so I have to buy a new one.
Okay.
Because you pop them inside of the adapter, and then you put that inside, and it opens up the tape so you can be watching a VHS.
Yeah,
I wish I had a high 8.
The portable 64 was
put that
the
back
SX.
up there for.
Okay, well, the portable 64 or the executive 64 was the SX64. I had one of those, and yeah, the thing was a monster with a 4 or 5 inch screen and had no battery pack, so it wasn't truly portable. I mean, you could take it places and plug it in, but you couldn't actually use it without a power outlet.
Inflated with helium. Oh, yoy. What? I don't remember that one. Who the hell had that idea?
I still have all my grandfather and grandmother's old Reader Digest books. I loved the old Reader Digest. Matter of fact, I reread Don Quixote because of Reader's Digest. Reader's Digest is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was too. I did a lot of reading on a Reader's Digest as a kid. I think it's what made me better with language than most of my classmates.
Oh, absolutely. I've busted him out because Isaiah's right in that age. And I'm like, we're going to read Seeing the Ancient Mariner or, like just good stuff.
Actually, what I remember, my exposure to a lot of the classic stuff was, I think it was Marvel Comics that did it under an earlier name, but the Classics Illustrated comics.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, they did. I still have a few. I need to get my long box out. I probably still have a few of those. I sold most of my comics when I was getting a divorce, but I guarantee you I still have some of those.
I remember the VHX Betamax wars when all the video stores had to carry both formats.
Mm-hmm. Young people out there, in the grocery store, it used to be that everything that was in a bottle, that to be in a bottle, was glass.
Yep. I missed that.
And Mark, the portable Commodores, they had a full color screen at least.
And that includes milk.
Although I did work in several offices that we had the monochrome green screens because the color monitors were still too expensive.
Well, I remember green, amber, and actually white.
One place I worked, we had one that was orange, and I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought the orange was the one that, I could work the longest without getting eye strain or headaches.
But the one thing that I am very happy we don't see anymore is the burn-in. Where if you had the same screen up long enough, it would actually burn the phosphors.
Yeah, well, I still see that when you find like old CRTVs at thrift stores.
Yeah,
a lot of them have the title screen from the Nintendo video game on them.
Okay.
That you can actually read the Nintendo logo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one place I worked had the status program screen burned in because it was always running, and you would check the system status on that, and yeah, you turn the damn thing off and you could still read it. Oh my, yeah, huh?
I'm sorry, all my computers worked with graphic user interfaces. I didn't know about that old junk, that ancient primitive stuff.
Okay, Commander, you're getting a little too technical for me, so. Borosilicate glass?
Borosilicate, yeah, that's Pyrex.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Glass making is an amazing.
I did kind of
business.
work with the paper tape readers because where I went my first 2 years of high school, they only had one computer for the entire school district. So each of the schools only had basically a teletype machine to communicate with the central computer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you had to feed the paper tape into that to feed programs to the computer.
Yeah, that's what we had at my school district.
These students were never supposed to use that, but that was another one of the things that I learned how to use it, and I just went in there and started punching, and they just assumed that I had authorization, so nobody stopped me.
Okay.
Because my guidance counselor was a dick, but I learned that once it was in the computer, nobody would argue with it, so I'd go in and make my own schedule changes. Well, this is the guidance counselor who every semester I put typing on my schedule, and he always took it off and said, "What does a boy need typing for? That's a girl's course."
Oh, Jesus.
If I ever find this man, I will strangle him with a computer cable.
When I was in my freshman year of high school, I did not play any sports whatsoever. I was not accepted to the baseball team because the coach said I cursed too much. But that's a different story for a different day. He was a Mormon who 10 years ago got arrested for embezzling money from the high school, and he's going to be doing a lot of prison time.
No, the Apple IIe never cost $12,000.
Long story short, I have one. They cost them right now. Long story short, they came into home economics and walked up to every kid that was over 5'7", 5'8", and was like, "Hey, you're on the football team." And that's how I joined the football team. They told me. They're like, "Next week, go report for the football team." And I ended up playing for a year and quitting because, I'm not that much of a meathead. But at my school, they would take the boys out of home ec and put them on the football team.
Oh, when I was
I never went out for football. I wanted to do the cheerleaders, but
I did cheerleaders.
When I was in middle school, my school tried what they termed as being a progressive experiment. That for one semester all the boys took home ec and one semester all the girls took shop class.
The key.
And my biggest problem with home ec was all the projects were way too simple compared to what I had already been doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
That's why I laughed when I got that home ec sewing machine, because it reminded me of high school, but I was way beyond anything that they were doing.
Yeah, I wanted to take home ec and I couldn't because they just didn't do that. And everybody thought I was a boy, so.
My school was more concerned about state championships, and they wanted, the bigger you are, they use you as fodder. I had a good time. I actually made lifelong friends, but high school football was just quite literally just that. It was high school football. It taught me who to not hang out with in life, and who to avoid.
Well, again, the only sport I had any interest in or was any good at was gymnastics. And they told me, no, boys don't do that. That's a girl's sport. We can't have boys on the team. even though the girls' coach was willing to sponsor me for it because she saw how good I was on the uneven bars.
Well, I don't know where the hell you went to school, but boys' gymnastics was huge when I was in high school.
Yeah, well, not around Chicago in the 70s.
Where I live, we have just from my hometown, as far as gymnastics go, I think like 6 Olympians, and they're all guys. And swimming, I've lost count of people from my hometown. But we're known for pumping out swimmers here. But it's like, who didn't grow up with a pool around them if you live in a warm weather city?
A pool? What's that?
I could literally walk 5 feet and jump into a pool. I could walk across the street and jump into a pool.
The original blueprints of my high school had a pool. The plumbing was there and everything, but they never built the pool. So it wasn't until I left that they finally got a pool. I think 76 or 75, they finally built the damn pool.
I grew up in this typical 1960s housing subdivision where all the there was 3 or 4 different designs of homes, and they all got built in their on their little lots and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And there was one family that had an actual pool that they put into their backyard. It was I don't remember the dimensions of it, but it was small but big enough for having fun in your backyard. And then they sold their house, and this other family bought it, and that family never used the pool, nor would they let anyone else use the pool.
That's boo-foo.
But they had filled, and they had to treat the water every week and all that kind of stuff, and nobody ever used it. It was insane.
That's
Why
cruel.
would they pay to maintain that and then never use it?
Yeah, exactly.
I would at least empty it and skate in it or something.
There were kids. There was kids in the house too. It's like, how can you not do that? I guess their house was air conditioned.
I always talk about the Mormons I live around, but my neighbors are really judgmental, and they invite Isaiah all the time. Like, hey, if he ever wants to go swimming. That's just a thing. Like, if you have a pool, especially in an open area like that. I take it you guys didn't have fences?
No. Mm-mm.
Well, I live in one of
but
the
mostly
middle-tier Chicago suburbs. And, there weren't any private pools. There was just, the one public pool that was run by the park district.
It was kind of an unwritten rule that it was okay to cut through yards as long as it wasn't seeded or had sod. If it was still dirt, you could cut through.
Wow.
Oh, it was like that where I lived. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Land of lawyers. As a kid, I knew what private property was.
Well, we knew what it was too. We just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly. People are so lame. People are so lame here. It's not even funny.
Yeah, where I lived, it was okay to cut through yards if you knew how to befriend the dog.
Okay.
We have fences everywhere here. It actually makes us better neighbors.
Now, see, we had a cat that beat up on all the neighborhood dogs. So the dogs didn't bother me because they knew that if they did, our cat would come back after them.
That's funny.
Yeah, Butterscotch, I do distinctly remember one time he came in with, one of his ears just barely hanging on, and my brother sewing it back on. We couldn't afford a vet.
And in the 60s, in a subdivision, new development subdivision, all the driveways and all the streets were concrete. No asphalt. If you had asphalt, you were considered cheap.
Okay, then.
Well, asphalt's everywhere now.
Yeah.
Well, where my mom lives in Michigan, the wealthy guy who's living off a lucrative military pension, his house is referred to as the one with the concrete driveway because everybody else on the road only has gravel.
Okay.
Cement pond.
I didn't appreciate paved roads or even understand paved roads until I went overseas, or even when I went over to Mexico. Because there's a certain point where paved roads stop, but the towns don't.
Yeah, right.
We take, I always say as Americans, like we take paved roads for granted.
Well, the town I spent my older childhood in had quite a few gravel roads. I remember the crews coming in and putting tar
Oh,
in the gravel.
yeah. Where I was in Upper Michigan, a lot of the paved roads stop at the city limits.
Mm-hmm. That's
We
all.
have a lot of gravel roads out here.
I live in the concrete jungle. There's roads everywhere, concrete everywhere here.
Yeah, there are towns up there where I was, some of the smaller towns that the only paved roads are where the U.S. highway comes through.
You can tell if it's a state or county or village road by the condition of it. By the design. The state roads always have this huge wide ass shoulder that you can pretty much park a semi on, and they're perfectly smooth. There's no bumps, there's no cracks, there's nothing. They fix them every day to make sure they're right. The county ones are usually also in very, very nice condition, but they may or may not have a real wide shoulder. They'll have some kind of shoulder, but it's not necessarily required to be as that wide. And the city ones are like, get what you get.
In the state of Arizona, Arizona is the most has the most well-kept roads I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why, but they really care about their roads. So when you drive from Arizona into California, you instantly know you're in California because the roads are not well kept here.
Well, the other big difference, and I expect Jenny can identify with this, is whether it was, a state or a county or a local road, was after a heavy snow, how long did it take to get plowed? Who was responsible for clearing it? Because there were a lot of roads up there that if it snowed twice in the same week, it didn't get plowed in between.
Really quick. Hey, Doc, can you see the screen?
Yep.
They're playing.
I was just thinking that. They're playing our song,
yeah,
baby.
They're playing. Pay paradise, put up a parking lot.
Oh, gee.
I don't see what purpose it would serve, to have concrete dice, but
I can't remember what the hell is her name? The lady who sang that. I can't remember. I can see
Joni Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Doc and I literally, was that yesterday?
No, that was the time before.
The days just kind of mold for me. It was literally 2 days ago we had this conversation. I worked every crappy job known to earth after I dropped out of college, stay in school kids. And so I fell in love with the Counting Crows version because they play it at every crappy job you'll ever have. So if you look up Counting Crows, it's called Yellow Taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Big Yellow Taxi?
Big Yellow Taxi.
Yeah, Big Yellow Taxi.
Great song.
Put away the DDT now.
Now it's so stuck in my head. Great song.
Protest song.
Absolutely.
Joni Mitchell is so underrated. She's never had formal training in music. First of all, she taught herself all the various instruments she can play. Like, I guess she can play like 5 or 6 different instruments. Really? Self-taught. Composing music, self-taught. And I've heard some of the high-end jazz people who really have musicology in their college background and stuff say that Joni Mitchell writes some of the most complex, difficult to play stuff that anybody on earth has ever written. And a lot of it that other people cover, the hard parts have been cut out because they were just too hard for them to do. But Joni could do them on an acoustic guitar.
Mark Caesar, I'm going to make a patch of your comment. stay in school kids, want to end up driving Ubers or fixing sewing machines.
Daju Korostu.
Make a good
what?
bumper sticker too.
My real nemesis was I got peyote shot up my nose and I became really idealistic. So it was more my shitty teenage attitude that dropped out of college than anything else. I wanted to go fight. I wanted to go fight the good fight. And it's such a cliche, but when I was younger, I fought the establishment. And now that I'm older, I'm a part of the establishment. So it's a bit ironic.
There's even a myth now that all six-toed cats are descended from the ones on Hemingway's Island.
That's
Not
true.
exactly true, although it is responsible for a good number of them.
That would be a giant bottleneck in their... they wouldn't be around if that was true.
Six-toed cats is one of the most common interbreeding errors that occurs in cats.
Yep.
It doesn't need more than about 2 generations of interbreed, and you get six-toed cats. What do they call them again?
Polydactyl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Both Petunia and Sammyson are that. Although Sammyson's got a sort of odd mutation that they didn't completely divide on his front paws. So each of his front thumbs, he's only got 5 paw pads, but he's got 6 claws. Each of the front thumbs has 2 claws coming out of it, which unfortunately prevents him from retracting his claws. So every time he walks over me in the night, they're always out.
Lovely.
Yikes.
I'm even more rare. I'm even more rare. I'm a 10-toed cat.
On which leg?
Yeah, it's all fun and games until you meet the man with 6 fingers.
Robert, that's a Meatloaf tune.
Now I have that song stuck in my head.
Wow.
Paradise in the Sewing Machine Light.
Yeah, where is Sam? Okay. Yeah, Sammy's hanging out low tonight. He's hiding in the shadows.
So that should be our next project. We'll stitch something together in the dark. Come out with this weird mass of randomly stitched together shit.
What would be cool is if you made something in the dark using glow-in-the-dark thread, so you'd see the pattern emerge as you went.
That would be cool.
Oh, I saw this dress online today that was just so beautiful. It was an evening gown, kind of a tank top, and fitted bodice. But then the skirt was a full circle skirt, and the whole pattern on it was done with day glow or day glow paint, not day.
Oh
glow,
wow!
But glow at night, glow in the dark paint. And it was just beautiful. I mean, the person would move in it with the skirt out and let it flow, and it was mesmerizing. Like it was better than the fire dress that what's her name wore on Hunger Games.
Yeah, just once I'd like to wear a big puffy ball gown like that. I don't see as I'll ever have an occasion to wear one, but
come to LA, people dress like that on a Tuesday for no reason.
There you go.
It's not rare to walk down the street and see someone like dressed like Louis the 14th or something at all.
If you live in a community that has lots of trans people, and you're near Minneapolis and that has lots of trans people, you could probably get a trans person ball or prom or something like that going, and give everybody a chance to do that once in their lives.
Oh, you guys,
that's an idea.
High school and stuff.
I'm not saying you should move here, but you should visit here because all of that goes on around here.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half to Minneapolis for me.
Where I live, there are stores where you can get any shoe for any shoe size. So you can get a size 14 stiletto. I wear size 13. 13 and a half in certain boots. But you can get any shoe you could think of in any shoe size in LA.
I wear glow in the dark clothes during the day. It amuses me that people don't need the sun to see me.
I own 2 embroidery machines, Mark Caesar, and I still don't know who sent me the second one, and I still thank you. Don't come to my house. I still thank you. But yeah, I own 2 embroidery machines, and in a weird way, I still make patches by hand because for all the fancy stuff I own, I miss the old school. I call it the Laura Engel way of making patches, where it's just you stitch the words out, literally like you're on Little House on the Prairie.
I get that. Some stuff you just need to do by hand, even if you got power tools that could do it.
Oh, absolutely. Even all my vests and everything, I sew all my patches by hand. I've made a few patches though on my sewing machine, but everything else, and I'm not even that big of a purist. Like if I find a machine that'll not make it look hokey, I would do it.
Sometimes you want to do things by hand, even if you have the power tools to do it. Well, enough about my sex life.
Do you know what's amazing? Because I watch hockey. Every professional hockey jersey is made by hand.
Ding, ding, ding! Newsflash. They have the guy, that subway shooter, in custody.
Oh, fuck. Do you know how many shootings we've had just in the past week?
Yeah, there was a crazy amount of them.
For the year, we've had 130 mass shootings.
That's disgusting.
Jesus.
Do you know, because of this, I don't go to downtown LA anymore. I used to go there almost every weekend. That was my spot, and I don't go down there anymore because it's potential of that.
Yeah.
I don't understand how somebody can continue to hold on to this ridiculous interpretation of the Second Amendment when 130 mass shootings in a year that is at, what is it, 115th day or something?
What's the geographic extent of that? Is that the entire country, or is that just your neighborhood?
No, that's the entire country.
And how many dead in the 139?
16 people were shot the other day.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know how many of you are masochists, but I am, and I have Lauren Boebert on my watch list, and you should see the way she's been going on about the Second Amendment lately.
You know, it's so funny you would say that. I was really bored one day, and I'm like, I'm gonna start following Kevin Sorbo just for shits and giggles.
Oh Lord, yeah,
he's
I watch him
insane.
too.
He's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's absolutely, and I say this all the time. He's a total righty. He hates the left. He lives in like Malibu, California. No matter what anyone says, he's a California resident. It just makes me laugh how these people live in the one of the most left places in the country, but they hate every single person they live around. And LA is gay as hell, just like San Francisco. So I might be blocking Kevin Sorbo soon.
he's an idiot.
Oh,
I've been sending him nasty messages to try and get blocked by him, and it just doesn't happen. Come on, dude. I'm insulting you really well.
I'm going to have to get more creative with my nasty messages. I've been telling pretty much all of them, just get stuffed. And I have a feeling that they don't know what that means because, they haven't blocked me yet.
If you're still, if you're still following the Trump lines, like now, after everything that's happened, there's something wrong with you. And that reminds me, one of someone that I've known my entire life. I rarely go on Facebook, and I was really bored last night. She is a Trumper. She's a stereotypical Trumper, blonde hair, blue eyed. She lives alone. She's in her 40s.
I got my first celebrity block a few days ago. Frank Turek blocked me.
I saw that.
Really?
Yep.
Hold on, before I forget, the Republicans.
What did you do? I've been trying for a couple of years now, and
the Republicans are starting their own Facebook, is what I'm trying to spit out. I'm going to look it up.
Well,
But
Trump
on her-
tried starting his own Twitter, and that's been failing miserably.
But on her Facebook, everybody was like, who tried to join the server kicked them out. So all these things that Republicans are trying to start are complete failures. I gotta look it up.
Yeah, because if they don't have anyone to argue with, there's no entertainment value there.
Yeah.
It just it made me laugh that like they hate like they're like, oh, later Facebook. Then they have to come back to Facebook to tell everyone that their crappy right-wing site doesn't work. What happened? Oh, there was a kid electrocuted at an elementary school. That's what that helicopter was.
Electrocuted at an elementary school? What the fuck happened?
I'm on right-wingy
It was probably
page
one of
real
those
quick.
internet challenges.
I'm on Truth Social, y'all. I'll be making the transition over to that platform mainly slowly. Come find me. I won't dox her. I won't dox her. I've known her my whole life. She is the kind of woman that drives a big jacked up truck. It's actually really weird to watch the progression of these people.
Get the expression "get stuffed in America" means pretty much what you're saying, except from the other end of the body.
Okay.
I thought it was an allusion to taxidermy.
I tell people to go stuff themselves all the time.
I thought it was the same as the origin of "put a sock in it," which was back the gramophones. That if you were playing the music too loud, somebody would tell you to put a sock in it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's where that came from?
Yep. Yeah, because they actually would use a sock to muffle it so that it couldn't be heard outside the room they were in.
Now, would that be a cotton sock or a wool sock? A blend?
A wind sock.
I don't know.
Back then, it was probably wool sock. Do you know what's funny? I just thought that was something that my dad would scream at me in anger.
Hey, Jen.
Oh, I miss all you eat buffets. You know,
Yeah.
I miss all you eat. But what's
do
gonna
too.
happen? I'm gonna like go to a casino, have the time of my life, and then catch COVID.
Oh, speaking of all you can eat buffet, it looks like my favorite Chinese buffet may be reopening now after the plague. They think it's over.
Okay,
Really?
well, I'm glad they survived.
Ours didn't.
It was closed for about a year and a half, and there's a sign up on it now. Grand reopening soon.
Is it privately owned or is that a chain?
It's privately owned.
We had a Golden Corral and a Hometown Buffet both go out of business. I miss them both.
Well, we've
this
got a China Star buffet, which it's kind of like a franchise thing. They're more independent than what you would consider a standard franchise.
Okay.
But there is kind of, a company that sells the name for them to use to ones in different cities.
Yeah,
China
but
Buffet is very popular up in this neck of the woods. I think I know locations, about 10 of them in the southeast quadrant of Minnesota.
Yeah, well,
I know they're through the Twin Cities.
Guess what I'm having for lunch?
Oh, I am jealous.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
If that place opens the way it was when I used to go there, I am going back in spades on the first day. I don't care what I can or cannot eat. I'm just going to go there and eat all freaking day, literally.
That's how I feel about I used to go to a buffet in the Paris at Las Vegas, and it was nothing but like pancakes and crepes and bacon and just I miss it. And it wasn't that expensive.
Oh my, a Waffle House all you can eat? God,
French. Sorry. It was French, so you get strawberries on everything. It was just great food.
A French Waffle House, Le Waffle House.
It's in it's Vegas, so that you get fancy food for like $12. and they literally roll you. They hire Oompa Loompas to roll you out of there. You know, I miss that. I miss the atmosphere.
Did you eat the waffle tower?
Oh man, yeah, I'll take that advice.
Doc.
Mark,
Yeah,
definitely.
Doc, you have to leave now.
No, but that reminds me, in my drinking days, I ordered this platter, and the guy looked at me, and he's like, "You know, this is 25 mini tacos," and I was like, "Just hit me," because I was all drunk, and I sat there and I ate all 25.
Are you kidding?
They were street tacos too, so they're like 2 or 3 bites. I was dry. I don't drink anymore for a reason. Yeah, and I didn't get sick.
Jenny, I apologize if my joke was so waffle.
You know,
Okay.
you're not so far away that I can't come and get you.
I miss the cheesy like slapstick, like airplane, Naked Gun.
Jenny,
I miss that.
just remember, if you go to get Doc, you know, you can only kill him when you're checking out of the hotel. Otherwise, there's no one there to check you in.
If I get him as I'm going in, then I get to stay for free.
Well, Doc can't hide with that red eye either. Pretty distinct.
Hey, it keeps the guests in their rooms.
Yeah, and I can sign in as Kent Hovind.
Ooh, I'm gonna start using that as an alias.
You know what people are using for an alias at Starbucks? You know how they write your name on the cup? Union, yes.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I worked at a Starbucks, and I don't know if this helps or hurts, but like even as a rookie, I was getting like, I don't know, $400 or $500 a week in tips, because they split it up in a tier system. So if you've worked there longer, you get to rip off all the rookies, and you get more money.
Daddy's to poo poo.
But I would walk away with mass amounts. And if you unionized, can you still get tips?
Oh yeah.
I've always been part of the management, so I'm always anti-union.
See, I think in the Starbucks biz and the Amazon biz, they need to be unionized. They're so abused by their employers.
Someone I love and respect.
Amazon most definitely.
They if a piece of equipment goes out in the truck, they do not get it fixed. So where I live in Southern California, during the summer it gets to be like last summer it was 107 on average for 2 weeks. Imagine if you're driving in a giant metal truck 35 to 40 feet long and you have no air conditioning. I know someone that did that all last summer.
That's why you usually see the UPS vans with the doors open.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And UPS treats their employees better because they have a union. Amazon does not. UPS, man, go on their tour. UPS tour is amazing.
Well, and the Amazon delivery drivers, even if the truck is all painted up and you see the Amazon logo real big, if you look real close for the small print, Amazon doesn't own that truck. Almost all of them are independent subcontractors who are getting screwed by Amazon.
Oh, well, DHL does that too, and I think even FedEx has started doing something like that.
Oh, and Spectrum. If you can hear me talking, it's Spectrum, and they're non-union. Yep. Anyone who deals with Spectrum knows that they send independent contractors to your house.
Oh yeah, the cable installers. Almost all the cable companies do that.
I think it's, first off, it's cruel to the employee, to your non-employee, and like they have the right to not take responsibility.
Yep. Well, it's really taking advantage of the installers, because then it's like they're not paying them for all of the hours that they're actually on the job. They're only paying them for the time when they're actually at a customer's house. So it's like if they spend half an hour driving between locations they were assigned to, they don't get paid for that half hour.
If it's their own truck and they get paid for the time that they drive or mileage, they should be able to take that mileage and get reimbursed.
I guarantee you they get mileage. Even my job pays mileage because we have med drivers. We have people that drive people to appointments and stuff, and they get mileage.
Yeah.
Even if you live far away, we'll give you mileage.
Yeah, I actually looked into that at one point about becoming a cable installer, and it's like, the thing was, I read the whole contract and I was like, oh no, I'm not signing this. I can see 4 ways from Sunday I'm going to get screwed on this deal.
Mhm.
I know someone who worked his way into the Spectrum company and now makes a ton of money, but that's rare, and he literally just sets up the poles and runs lines all day.
In the early cell phone days, I had a friend who was a site finder negotiator for cell towers. And he made so much fucking money getting contracts for cell towers. God damn, he was clearing like $150K a year. Just getting farmers to sign a piece of their land away.
I have a good friend who I consider a complete scumbag who made a boatload of money installing windmills all across the desert of Southern California. And he literally doesn't have to work anymore. He does, but he made so much money that he can retire at 40-something years old.
And now we all have a purpose in life.
Don't panic.
Okay.
Some of these installer people are real snakes. I when I was unemployed, let's see what that was, when it was, that about in 2005 or 6, something like that. I got a job through Craigslist for somebody, I'm sorry, I'm mumbling here. A cell tower installer was looking for someone to drive the people around, the crews around and stuff like that, is what it said in the ad. And so I applied for it and I got it. And suddenly this guy is having me haul all this equipment up 10 flights of stairs in a dark building with no electricity in it, because it's just a shell of a building and they only want it for its height. And then going on these flaky, dangerous roofs and smokestacks and shit, and putting up tower antennas. And it's like, dude, this is not what I was hired for. You're paying me fucking $5 an hour, and I'm not going to risk my life for that. And I just plain walked out on the job after the first hour. Literally walked away. I was in the city, so I got a bus and went home.
Those jobs are the worst, because people are willing to have you risk their life for their contract.
Yeah. Well, and that's not a bad thing if you know that's what you're doing, to go into it and that they're paying you appropriately.
Well, and that's why they make them independent contractors, because then they don't have to have the liability or health insurance if you get injured on the job.
That's the kicker. It's the health insurance and liability. I worked at a factory where all we did was do this with breadsticks. We just put them in a box for 12 hours a day. They paid $30-something to $40 an hour because the average person could not take the job. And there's huge ovens above your head. It's a factory. It's a process. A lot goes in to get those breadsticks to the Olive Garden. You'd be surprised. And I watched people get hurt, and they'd fire them.
Yep.
Those companies do not care about you at all.
That was one of the things, like I said, that I looked at becoming a cable installer back in the 80s when it was huge because they need people to install in every building. And that was one of the things in there was that, like you said, the companies will take no responsibility for anything. So if any customer called and claimed that anything on the building had been damaged, it would have been out of my pocket. And I would have to prove if it was like that before I got there.
Yeah, and how are you going to do that? You have to do a site inspection and pictures and everything else as soon as you walk on.
Yeah, and that was before most people had cell phones, so we didn't all have a camera in our pocket at the time.
Yeah, huh?
I learned from someone who worked for the government to always take before and after pictures, but I doubt the average person gets that advice. So before any job, especially when I was a painter, because people would complain about the smallest things and then want $1,000 discount. How are you, Sinister Porpoise?
Well, people need to realize how badly abused they are as workers.
Yeah, we can't
country.
hear you, Porpoise.
And get their asses unionized. It's that all these bullshit mythologies about unions that were spread in the Reagan days to get you to not like unions anymore was strictly for the benefit of the rich. It didn't help getting rid of the unions for the worker. Well, it means you're going to be abused now, and now they are.
All right, there we go.
That's why everybody's paid so crappy. Even $15, $20 an hour is crappy in this current economy.
Yeah, and this era is Reagan's victory because unions are not what they used to be at all.
No, they're definitely not.
No, they don't have nearly the power.
No,
it doesn't just start with Reagan. I've been taking a course called History of Capitalism.
Awesome. No, my whole point is it's when I was a kid, my dad was part of an aerospace union when he worked for NASA. Like everybody, you're just ensuring that your employees don't get screwed over. Even at my crummy job, we people get pensions and stuff.
Yeah, let's see. What is it? I saw a percentage the other day in discussion. America is like 21% of Americans don't get any paid time off at all.
Yep.
So we have PTO at my job. What people do is I'm pro PTO. People will save up their time and just take the money because they can't afford to take the time off.
Yeah,
that's how effed up our economy is.
Yeah.
Because PTO is like, hey, you've earned this. Go sit at home for a week. Look at all this money you've earned. The average person is like, no, I need the money. I gotta pay. Like, people come all the time. They're like, hey, I need my PTO. We give it to them, no questions asked if they have it.
I get 2 days a year PTO.
Man,
2 days.
Is Iowa a right to work state? I probably asked this before.
I believe so. Like you can quit without a reason, and they can fire you without a reason.
Man, right to work states.
But you can get unemployment if they don't have a good enough reason.
You guys get screwed over in
Now,
California.
I do have. There is a goofy way they do a 1 week's vacation every year too. They cut you a vacation check. They just give you an extra week's pay on your anniversary, and then it's up to you to schedule the time off if you want. And I never can because I work graveyard shift, and no way I'm finding anybody to work 7 nights in a row for me. So I just don't get one.
Oh, Mark Caesar, I just act like a kid.
Okay, who wants to field this question? How many holidays do you get off in the U.S.? And I can't answer this because I've been self-employed for more than 30 years.
Let's do a quick count. 1, 2.
I think there are 4
3,
official,
4, 5,
like 4 legal ones.
Yeah, it's hard because at my job we have people there 24 hours a day, so I don't remember.
It depends on where you work.
I think it's 7 or 8.
Okay, and this is going back again pre-Reagan when there actually were decent unions. that my brother-in-law was a member of the Chicago Meat Cutters Union. So the union had arranged it so that there was at least one 3-day weekend paid for every month of the year, which is how they got St. Urho's Day off, because there wasn't a holiday in March they could claim.
I'm just going to say, as a substitute teacher, I get lots of unpaid time off.
That's awesome.
Unpaid. I said unpaid.
Yeah.
Like the summers.
What are we all doing on a sick day? Mark Caesar, that's definitely, we can't even say that out loud in America. That's gonna be an Australian
if
holiday.
you're a federal or state worker, you get like what, another 4 or 5 extra holidays, the Monday holidays, like President's Day and that kind of junk.
We call those bank holidays, but
yeah. And you notice in the public schools, they have these Christian holidays off, but no Jewish holidays off.
Mm-hmm. Here, in California, at least in my school district, the kids get all the Jewish holidays off.
Yeah, see, that was the difference. I was growing up in a Jewish community, so they had to give us all the Jewish holidays off, because they knew damn well if they didn't, they wouldn't get enough kids showing up for school. Well, no, and it's a funding thing, that any day that they have less than like 80% attendance, the state doesn't give them funding for.
Oh, it's still like that here. No, I laughed because it was almost like the same demographics as when I was a kid, and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, so like they always had to try and schedule, our winter break so that it would cover all of Hanukkah and Christmas.
Mm-hmm. They still do that. Like, our kids get a month and a week off. They're like, all right, we'll give you every holiday off. Celebrate Kwanzaa, celebrate whatever you want. You got the time.
Spring break is like a week, and then you get the time between Christmas and New Year's off in school. But I think that's it for the big holidays.
Yeah, depending on when Hanukkah started, we didn't necessarily get off through New Year's Day. Because if Hanukkah started early, we might get the 2 weeks before Christmas off.
Yep.
It's on the... Oh, all right. That's for... You need to take that to a service project tomorrow. That's on the back of the chair.
And I find it weird that we get different days off in every state. Like Arizona, they don't celebrate Martin Luther King Day. They do not. Have they ever had daylight savings time in Arizona? Because they do not participate in it.
Did you notice how that bill was up and was working its way through the House and the Senate, and it for ending daylight saving time, and suddenly it's gone.
Well, all right. Next year I will be complaining
again. I hadn't seen an update about that. I thought that was going through.
Me too.
No, it just disappeared.
Damn. Yeah, they've got to get rid of daylight savings time. It serves no function.
I bet the farmers were like, "You like food? keep daylight savings time."
No, the farmers hate it, because you can't convince the cows that the clock has changed. The farmers have to be out there at the same time to milk the cows, regardless what the clock says.
Do you know? Every time the time changes, I'm like, daylight savings has ruined my life. Really, it's just changed my routine slightly. It's what it's happening.
It does ruin lives. You can get insurance statistics that will show you that every time we change the clocks, there is a huge surge in the number of car accidents that week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it throws people off of the normal schedule, so people are driving home from work overly tired.
Ugh, that's how I live, is overly tired.
Plus, graveyard shifters hate it.
Yeah, because you either have to work an extra... You either get
we
1 hour or you work an extra hour.
We either have to do the same amount of work with an hour less than we had yesterday, or we get stuck at work an extra hour.
But that just happens one day a year.
Actually, when I was working night shift computers, I liked it because we would actually get paid for the extra hour when the clocks jumped. So I'd actually get paid for an hour more than I worked that night.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, would you lose an hour's pay when the clock jumped ahead?
Nope, they couldn't do
And
that.
just remember, folks, that the best thing that you can do for yourself at your job is be sure to take at least a half hour a day in the bathroom. Let the employer pay you for taking a shit.
That is
All right,
terrible advice. Do not take it advice. As an employer, do not take that advice. Do you know what's
I need to
really-
go check on my Roomba.
That's the one thing I don't own is a Roomba. Do you know, Jenny, I actually fired this kid who tried to sue me because he would go in the electric's room and hang out. We would be like, where the F is this kid? He would go hide. And because we have this really old building where all the generators, and it's a brick building that was built in the 50s. So anything that's electrical is in, it's an electric room. And he would go in there and hide. And we'd tell him, like, do you realize if you'd spill a drink or something, we would find your charred body after you shut down half the city? But I fired somebody for doing that.
Yeah.
I can't stand people that do that. If you're going to hide...
I did that at a couple of places I worked. I'd just find places to hide. To be fair, it was my survival strategy. I survived my childhood by being good at hiding. Because generally, if somebody could find one of my brothers before they found me, then I didn't have to do it.
And I'm not saying I didn't participate. Back in the Stone Age, I worked at a Robinson's May. It was a store. It was a clothing store, kids, if you don't know what a Robinson's May was. And I worked on the dock, and they had their own elevator. And I would put the elevator between floors and pass out. But I was like a 17, 18-year-old delinquent.
Okay, here's one I didn't know about. Skits Crasher says heart attacks go up 20% the day after daylight savings.
So I just
Yeah.
want to wish everyone a happy Scrabble Day. Apparently.
Yep. You gotta spell it out for these people.
And how many points is that?
Is it on a triple word score?
Yeah, well, that's what I meant about that I win by strategy because, I figure out how to get words over the double and triple word scores more.
You think I'm playing, man? Look up like Finnish and Dutch words, and you'll win.
But foreign words aren't allowed. It specifies that in the rule book.
Okay, I'll argue though. I'm a citizen of the world, therefore, I can put any language, and I speak Spanish. Let's take all the Finnish and all the BS out of the side. Like, I speak Spanish. What if I start putting Spanish words in there? And what if I'm sitting in a room with people that speak Spanish, which is
No hablo español.
most of them. Yo entiende todo. Most of the time, all the people I'm around, and I just said I understand everything. Most of the people I'm around
Yo
speak
no
Spanish.
comprendo español.
I always jokingly, someone will say something to me and I'll say, yo no entiende inglés. And it always makes people laugh when I say I don't speak English because they know I do.
Muco Bracas.
Yeah, das kommt mir Spanish for.
No,
Taco
that's why-
Grande.
That's why I say yo no comprendo. I speak Spanish, I just don't understand it. So
Where I live, most people speak Spanglish and don't even know it. All of our cities are Santa or San something.
Well, I'm guessing probably at some point the U.S. language is going to be a mix of Spanish and English if current trends continue, becoming something as bizarre as different as modern English was from the German and French languages that preceded it.
oh yeah. Well, a lot of what corrupted the British English, was that at one point in around the 17th century, the nobles decided they didn't want to speak the peasant language, so they were going to speak French.
Yeah, huh?
So through the 17th and 18th centuries, the British English became a blend of the English and French.
I think I'll have to look that one up, but I'm pretty sure the invasion of Normandy plays a huge role in that as well.
Yes.
Well, yeah, being invaded by various nations over the years did
Wait, did I say Normandy?
affect
Well,
you.
all of Europe is
Battle of
a
Hastings.
blending of the Romantic languages of Latin, Italian, Spanish, and French, and
Absolutely.
English, whether it's American or British,
Yep.
is made up about 75 or 80% of Romantic language words, and
Yeah.
the rest is filled in with Germanics and some other foreign words.
Absolutely. I always say our language is the trash can. It's the leftovers of all the other languages.
Yeah, but it's not, because our language can take that it's okay to take words from other languages and to make them our own. We have English is one of the most dynamic, flowing, and changing languages ever known, and it's going to be the language of the future because of that ability to change. And
Well, right now, if you're in the Navy, if you are anywhere on the sea, you have to learn English. So no matter where you live, English is the maritime language.
and it's
Yeah,
also the language of the sky.
Let me see if I can remember this meme right. That languages like Spanish and French borrow from other languages. English follows other languages into dark alleys, beats them up, and rummages through their pockets for loose grammar.
First off, what is a sovereign citizen? And yes, Aussie is the most romantic language, Mark.
You have not seen any of the sovereign citizens on YouTube?
Is that the people who won't roll their windows down for the cops?
Yeah, they're people who claim that they are not bound by the laws of the country they live in because they never signed an agreement. So they never signed the social contract and they aren't bound by the laws.
That'll get you beat up around here. I just think I can do anything I want because I watch too much Doctor Who.
Yeah, it
That's
never goes over well when they try to convince law enforcement officers of this. It never works, so I don't see why these people keep trying to do it.
If where I live, if you comply, they're gonna leave you alone. If you don't comply, you will get beat up. And anyone, it doesn't matter about race. Where I live, if you do not comply with the police, they have no patience for that BS whatsoever.
Well, okay, I am not going to deny that there is a racial bias to it, and appearing as a cis white male, I know I had an advantage on that. But yeah, I really didn't have problems with police officers because, if they stopped me and I was polite about it, they were usually expecting a conflict, so they were so disarmed that most of the time they just sent me home with a warning. And there's a lot of times I know I deserve tickets that I didn't get them.
See, I've heard that sovereign citizenship is technically real, sort of, as in you can get your citizenship to your native country canceled, but it's a process. It's a very complicated and difficult process.
Yes, you can do
and
that,
there
but
are
you're
huge disadvantages to it.
Oh boy, are
you
there
can do
ever
that, but you are still
disadvantages.
obligated to abide by the laws of the land which you occupy.
Yeah, that even if you're not a citizen of the U.S., that does not exempt you from the traffic laws.
That's correct. Yeah.
Like recently, the libertarians in New Hampshire were trying to succeed. And like, if I was in charge, I'd say, okay, you guys can succeed, but you all have to leave New Hampshire, because regardless, the land is still America.
All right, just one thing, because it sounded like you said succeed.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my twang. It's my Southern Californian accent.
It's the seed. Hi, Athena.
It's my accent.
I succeed, but I haven't had the opportunity lately.
What kind of seed do you suck?
Exactly what I meant, yes.
Man seed?
I kapla.
As a Klingon, I approve. Oh, that's funny.
Dutch is better. We use French, English, German, Italian, Latin, and a lot of other languages in it. Well, that's because Dutch is in the same Germanic language family English is, and you do the same thing we do.
I was about to say, that's the exact same thing we do in English. That is exactly what we do in English.
Yeah, no, the Germanic languages have nothing to do with the Romantic languages. That's why,
Well-
you know, we have love and amour, and they have Eichenwissergash.
Kannst du Deutsche Spätzle? The only phrase in the Pennsylvania Dutch dialect of German I actually know.
I thought though that well, I know Switzerland is pretty much the German language, and that you got Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and they're similar, but Finland is different than the rest of them language wise, and Norway and Sweden are pretty much the same as Denmark.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to remember and guess a little bit here.
I don't know. I actually
terrestrial, isn't it?
I actually grew up around someone who is Danish and still talk to her, so I can identify Danish from German. So I think they're two different. You know, they sound like two different languages to me. But I grew up around someone that was Danish and and people who were German as well.
I just wanted to say, Robert, I'm not going to be giving it out online, but actually the new name I picked is Dutch.
Oh, awesome.
Just because it had a translation I found very pleasing. Okay. Kyosen is the sexiest. Click, click, click. Okay, I didn't know the name of it, but I've heard that African clicking.
I thought that was Hottentot.
There are a few languages in that area of the world that employ clicks, if I remember correctly.
It's also like it's phonetic as well, though. I actually watched a movie about it, about the evolution of the Maasai warrior. It was really interesting. I need to find the name of it.
Wait,
I went.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Dekopana.
I was just going to say you're watching videos in language and not watching fascinating computer science videos.
I love history. I love people talking about their cultures. I love people explaining where they're from. So if anyone, you know, I'll watch anything. I don't care if it's in Amsterdam or Africa or anywhere, Mexico, you know. I love learning about other cultures. It is quite literally what I do on YouTube.
Okay. Mark is Get Me a Beer foreplay because they're saying that, you know, I really couldn't do you if I'm completely sober.
No, it's Give Me a Pesh. Is it Pesh? And then may I, you know, get me a beer, love. Can I have a Pesh? I have to look that up. I have to brush up on my Aussie.
Well, yeah, I would assume that the closer you get to the Middle East, the closer you would get to the pronunciations as they should have been in the Bible. But I got a lot of that growing up because most of the people I discussed the Bible with had read it in Hebrew.
Yeah, for example, I believe mine is something like Michael. Michael.
Yep.
Yeah,
Actually, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, my mother's side is Finnish, and my father's side is Polish. But my first name is most likely Irish, and my mother has never given me an explanation for why she chose it.
Yes, your dead name is Irish. Absolutely.
Yep.
And
no one will give me an explanation for where that came from.
You mean in your family?
Yeah.
My last name is Swiss, and I know exactly where it came from.
Yep. Because the only person we have it in my family is because my mom's sister married an Irishman.
For those who don't know, Perp and I share the same dead name, first dead name, which is just a real freak out to me because when I was a kid, nobody was named that name. It just It was like the only one for 10, 20 years.
Well, I don't really want to know
Fascinating.
you. I don't really want to know your dead names, and I usually don't give out mine. So
Yeah, I'm not going to give it out on the air. You know, if we were private afterwards with just a couple of people I know, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah, some of us know, but we're keeping our mouths shut.
Yep.
Well, Diana knows because we've had to send packages back and forth.
Speaking of language, I was listening to PBR this weekend, PBR, and
PBR.
I
public
used to
radio,
drink that stuff.
and they did a story on some people who are Navajo, who are working to preserve the language that the United States, along with Canada and many other countries, when they took over indigenous people, tried to beat the original native language out of them. And they damn near did it with Navajo and other Native American languages. And so there's a big effort to try and get that, relearn, that people learn it and speak it. One of the things they decided they would do to catch people's interest, particularly young people, in speaking the language or putting it to use once they have learned some of it, is they worked and got their own funding and did their own actual editing work and did a Navajo language version of Star Wars.
Cool.
Awesome.
In Navajo.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to hear Darth Vader speaking Navajo.
That would be pretty sweet.
Well, they said it was a major hit in their community, and people wanted to do other
Well,
films.
I know there has been a big effort with several Native American tribes to, try and preserve their language and try and get more young people to learn their native languages, because just so few of them really want to spend the time to learn it anymore.
Do you know that Welsh was back in the 1500s? Part of the negotiations to end the war between Wales and Britain, trying to take them over, was that the Welsh language was not to be spoken for 500 years.
I knew it had been outlawed for a time. I didn't quite know the details.
Yeah, 500, and it was only in 2017 that the last laws were removed that prevented people from using Welsh. And
how can you stop someone from saying you shall never speak that?
Yeah,
it
never went away in Wales. They kept speaking it amongst themselves.
About 30 years ago, I miserably failed at trying to learn Welsh.
Oh.
I was trying to learn enough of it to have background for a character, and it's just,
Okay.
Unless you know someone who speaks it fluently, there's no possible way to get the sounds right, because there are so many phonetics that just don't exist in English.
Exactly. As someone who's been there, it's a complicated language, and I know someone who speaks that language.
Well, a lot of the phonetics that you talk about are that's very accurate. Phonetics, so like the question of Asian people and the R and the L, that's always part of the accent that they have. They do not have the R and the L as part of their dialect, and when a child is raised and the language is imprinted, they do not learn those, and that's why they have so much problem doing it. Yep. There's the same thing. There's a certain dialect in Norway, I think, and several African nations that just don't exist in our language, and so we will never be able to pronounce them right. Just as though there's some in ours that they will never be able to pronounce right, because they just don't have the mechanical ability to connect their brain and their tongue together to make the sound.
Yeah.
There's a lot of African languages like that as well, because there's like not that much difference between certain Asian languages and certain African languages.
Well, and like in Welsh, the W is a vowel, and it's like I had a book that tried to tell you how to pronounce it properly, and it's like convoluting your tongue into this strange shape.
Well, I run into the. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, this is where I got lucky, talking about sounds that you can make and sounds that you cannot make. I'm a year or two old, and my babka is teaching me Slovak. And I think that helped in being able to comprehend and to make the sounds in some of the languages in that neighborhood, in Slovak and Russian, and even helped my German. Because when I was younger, I was routinely taken for a native speaker, and it's that learning when I was very young, that sort of thing. And thank you, Bob.
Well, I heard the Polish growing up from some of my relatives, but I never learned how to speak it.
Okay.
So
I picked up Spanish as survival.
What I need to do is get back into. I was trying to learn Russian, and because I lived in a neighborhood with a heavy Russian immigrant population, and that fell by the wayside for the long time. But now in dialysis clinic, one of the nurses is Belarusian and speaks fluent Russian. So now I've got to get back into it so we can go back and forth in Russian and see what I can do about that. But we'll see what happens.
So, can you say Slava Ukraini correctly? Because I still can't.
Let me see. I believe the way I know it is Slava Ukraini. Yeah. Yeah, Ukraini.
Okay. I'm kidding.
Glory to Ukraine.
So where does the Slavic strain come from exactly? Is it descended from Germanic?
I don't think so.
No,
It's
I don't
from,
think so. No.
Saint Olaf.
Yeah, I think the Slavics, which includes Russian, well, they use the Cyrillic alphabet, but the language I think is similar enough that they're also a Slavic language technically.
Right, but
Russian? Oh, yeah.
But and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard the Russians descend from Vikings, the Rus tribe of Vikings.
Yeah, I believe so.
So they're genetically Germanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Vikings spread a lot of their genetic material around through a lot of Europe. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, and the other Germanic tribes did too.
But not as much as Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
I was about to.
But
that goes right along with history that people don't talk about, that they don't realize how long that man ruled over Europe.
He fucked everybody everywhere.
Everywhere. Go take a DNA test. Go take a DNA test.
Oh, sorry.
But by the 10th century, the Vikings had trade routes that extended all the way to the Middle East.
Okay.
They found a Viking burial from the 11th century with a Viking sword made of Damascus steel.
But a lot of these empires thrived after the destruction of another. Like I like saying this, like when Alexander found Egypt, Egypt was already in crumbles, and we consider Alexander the Great ancient. So chronologically speaking, a lot of things we talk about, they happened a very long time ago.
Yeah, most of the people on YouTube consider me ancient.
No,
I'm
went
only
off.
66.2 million years old.
Here has been my story with languages over the past few months. I have a friend who wants to try to get me to start doing German and Duolingo again. And she asked me where I was and what I was learning. So I had to say, I'm trying to learn a strange foreign language. It's called calculus.
Mark, Stool can pronounce that.
Yeah, I've heard Stool pronounce it. I won't even try.
There's a BBC video where a weather person pronounces that perfectly. and everyone like claps.
Yeah,
When
I've
he-
seen
when-
that clip. It's a wonderful thing to watch. It's so good.
Yeah, he said it in one breath too, and everyone's
It's
like,
the best. It's like the best weather report in the world.
they were shocked. They threw it up to stump him, and he was like, "All right," and he nailed it.
Yeah, he just pops it out like nothing, man.
But that's obviously someone who's grown up around
Yep.
people like
And
that.
we have
yeah.
Brainbug with us.
Hey,
Oh,
you know what though? I shocked.
okay. Good night, Robert. I hope you wind up feeling better.
Oh, Robert
Aw.
X.
Take care,
Absolutely-
sweetie.
Absolutely love Robert X. I absolutely love.
Don't get pregnant.
My first encounter with Brainbug through logical, probable, plausible in some way. Doesn't matter right now, but I've seen the name somewhere before.
I'm gonna have to go get glasses. I'm gonna have to go get-
Yeah, Brainbug very much lives up to their name. That they have all sorts of insects and arachnids and such, living in their house there and study them extensively.
Why are you going to go? Oh, there you go. You've got your glasses.
Well, you're never without bugs to look at. That's for
No,
sure.
I need a new. These glasses I used to wear in my painting days, and you can't see it, but the frame has paint on it. And I really don't care. I wear them for driving, but I need to start wearing them for life. But I'm too pretentious, so I got to get over it.
Yeah, I'm not loving the calculus tests, Sketch Crasher. It's like you're getting the concepts and the tests just aren't. The tests aren't what you're expecting, even when you're prepared.
As
You were
someone who-
saying about it being a foreign language, and there was an incident that a woman reported a guy on the plane because he was writing in some strange language, and yeah, it turned out he was doing calculus equations.
What a
Oh,
rat! What a scared rat that woman was.
Well, to be fair, if you're using a lot of the symbols, it does look like a strange alphabet.
I would hope that person was an alien and was about
I absolutely love mathematics. I mean, once you get past the computational stuff, once you get past the arithmetic, it's absolutely beautiful.
And all you English people out in the audience, notice that it's called mathematics, not maths.
Hey,
Okay, so that still throws me off to this very day. When I hear that, it still throws me off. I watch a lot of British television, and they'll say, "Yeah, maths."
that
If
really
Sorry, go ahead.
that really doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me either. It's maths is short for mathematics. Math would be short for mathematic.
Well, there's some British pronunciation and stuff. I agree with it. Aluminium, absolutely, it should be spelled aluminium.
Well, that's the official name.
Yes.
That's the IUPAC name. Yeah.
And American, no, it's aluminum. Well, if you look at the periodic table and all the names of all the metals and stuff like that, you'll see that all of them are pretty much minium, inium,
Calcium.
as the end of it. Calcium, lithium, it goes
Yeah.
on and on and on.
Well, that's one of the rules for
yeah, it's
official
just
names.
part of the
You
metals.
end in IUM. Yeah.
So you can't just take aluminum and lie about it. You think you are a Republican?
Okay, for anybody who's interested in it, I found the YouTube video of the weatherman pronouncing that name.
That
Sure,
is an
play it.
absolute.
It is wonderful.
Who, what, where, when?
Hold on, let me guess. Is his
The
name?
weatherman pronouncing that Welsh name. I found the YouTube
Oh,
video for it. So I just dropped the link in the side chat there.
Is the guy's
Mostly.
name Liam Dutton?
I'm not
yes,
sure.
yes, it is.
Oh.
Liam
That's how good my memory is. I have seen that
Damn.
clip a million. I couldn't pronounce that. Do you know? It's weird to go somewhere and you don't speak the language, and you walk around and you look at signs on the wall and you're like, "Wow, I have no idea what that says at all." So I think it's awesome when someone can pronounce a name like that, because I've been there and you're like, this is a joke. I have pictures of signs that are this long and it's like, this is a joke, right? But I don't speak that language.
That's how I felt when I was doing the movie nights, and then you'd see Phuket Ward, and then the signs in Thai as he's going down the road on his motorcycle.
Exactly.
Yeah, Mage, that's when you're doing a porno movie and you pull out and spray it all over so you came near it, not in it.
I was going to say, isn't that where you're supposed to come in?
I love that. I love that video. That was my early YouTube days. I used to watch that all the time.
Oh, hey, there's yet another flood warning for this area.
Oh, dear.
Oh, flood warnings are not a huge deal. We're way above the banks of the local river.
Okay.
Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
Right now, it's 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
I remember here back in the 90s, don't remember quite what year it was, but when the Mississippi River got, quite a bit above its normal flood stage, and we just about lost Harriet Island, and in St. Paul, the train yard was underwater.
2017, wasn't that?
That's crazy.
No, it had to be earlier than that, because by then I was living in New York.
Yeah, it's usually the western side of the river that floods. The eastern side is fine. And the city I live in is on the eastern side.
Well, is that an elevation difference?
It's really funny here. It's like the exact opposite, because I live on the west side of town. And when you guys were talking, I was thinking, well, if the dam broke, I'd have beachfront property. But I live.
You Led Zeppelin.
I live at like the bottom of a mountain.
That actually sounds like, like a supervillain plot. That you buy up all the desert property and then you burst the dam so then you can sell it all as beachfront.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're polluting somewhere else, you can make it a plot of Captain Planet.
Captain Planet would have a field day in Southern California. We have torn down all the natural environment to put up a house with a tree and grass in front of it.
The live-action movie for Captain Planet is coming eventually.
I think every 80s toy line will eventually get one. I'm waiting for Inhumanoids.
I will be so mad. I loved Captain Planet. Hollywood.
Captain Planet.
Hollywood has ran out of ideas. There was another remake I saw recently where I was like, why? I have to look it up now. There was something where I'm like, why are you ruining?
Have you seen that Don Cheadle parody of Captain Planet?
No.
No, what? What is this?
Oh yeah, it's there's a YouTube video of it. It's some weird parody. It's pretty weird and funny, but it's Don Cheadle with like green makeup to look like Captain Planet. I think I've seen that before, but only just like a clip to know that it exists. Yeah, I didn't actually see it. Don Cheadle would be great at a comedy parody like that.
Rick and Morty did a parody of it.
Yeah, I've seen Robot Chicken do several of them.
Yep.
Captain Planet was awesome. I've seen the Robot Chicken ones. Captain Planet was awesome.
Captain Planet, though, was so hypocritical. It was a show, that they billed as being about saving the environment, when in fact it was about selling a fuck of a lot more plastic.
Heck yeah. I had the whole line. Heck yeah, it was. They were competing with G.I. Joe, bottom line. Propaganda works though, because I remember as a kid that was the whole recycle era. Propaganda works. Get them young. I'm still trying to save the planet. 40 years later.
1970. That's where it started.
Listen, I'm just waiting for October 23rd, 2077. I'm even collecting bottle caps.
Well, unfortunately, Will, what you're saying about propaganda is really very much the case that most of the recycling was propaganda by the plastics companies to try and convince people their product really isn't that bad. But in the US, very little gets actually recycled. And in a lot of communities, it's like if they're telling you you can put all your recyclables in one bin, that's not getting recycled. That's probably being dumped into an incinerator.
Well, the thing is, now we have bacteria that can digest plastic.
And that's going to be a horrible problem.
Actually, it might be beneficial depending if we're decomposing plastic in landfills.
Yeah, but we're the only.
The problem is, once that gets out into the environment, it's going to start eating the plastic that you wanted to keep for 10 years. So then they're going to have to come up with a new material that resists that bacteria to make all that stuff from.
We are the only species that has ever existed on this planet that will leave a layer of plastic behind. That's how much crap we have dumped on the Earth.
There's going to be a new line in all the rocks instead of being iridium. Plastic.
Yeah.
No,
and all the humans are gone after this line.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
No, it's called. I can't pronounce it. It's called the Astropocene or something. I read it in Scientific American like 5 or 6 years ago.
Anthropocene.
I can't say it, but my whole point is we literally will be the only species that ever existed on this planet to leave plastic behind. We suck.
But it's just the Anthropocene is just an idea that we are causing a mass extinction event.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and we are that.
The sixth mass extinction. Yeah, we're it.
It's us. Yeah.
Yeah, the number of species that have gone extinct in the last 100 years is on a level of how fast the dinosaurs went extinct.
We don't have to worry about a meteor or any of that. We're going to do it way faster. Oh.
But the good news is we've sent tardigrades into space.
I saw somebody on Twitter who honestly was rebutting a science's discussion between flat Earth people and or young Earth creationists, I think it was, and who actually said, well, if the meteor was so bad that it killed the dinosaurs, how is it that humans lived through it?
Oh, fuck off.
Didn't kill all the dinosaurs.
And the answer was perfect. It says, well, they practice social distancing of 65 million years.
Very good.
See, people like that, you can't even talk to people like that. You can't.
They do know some dinosaurs. They do know the avian dinosaur survived, right?
Yeah.
They don't believe that they are avian.
Well, to be fair, that's just a change in classification because birds didn't used to be dinosaurs. But
and honestly, at some point, can we stop saying non-avian birds? Because it's like, there was a distinction there. There is a distinction we recognize, and with all sorts of other animals, we recognize that.
I said non-avian dinosaurs.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That do we need to keep saying non-avian? Just,
As opposed to what?
As opposed to just calling them dinosaurs and calling them birds.
But not all dinosaurs were birds. All birds are dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, all birds are descended from dinosaurs, but we don't have
dinosaurs.
to call.
I mean, that's the way the taxonomy works.
Yeah, they are dinosaurs now.
But we don't have to call all mammals non-diapsid reptiles.
Okay, so I just looked up mammoths. And it says, although Plesiosaurus are close relations, they are not true dinosaurs. Even more distant relatives to dinosaurs are the marine reptiles. So because the reason I bring up the woolly mammoth, because woolly mammoths were in Russia for a long time. and they found bones. I get this all out of Scientific American. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. But they pulled bones out of woolly mammoths. They were like, man, they existed for a long time, and they are.
Actually, the Indian elephants are more closely related to woolly mammoths than they are to African elephants.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They existed a long time.
Well, the mammoths coexisted with humans, right? I mean, the humans were responsible for their extinction.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do think that basically when the land bridge of the Bering Strait became open and humans came into North America, that a lot of people think that was a big factor in the mammoths going extinct.
And this is all stuff I cherry picked from Scientific American, where I remember it when
Kitty Cam.
Isaiah.
So are you going to play that? Are you going to play that Weatherman talking the big talk?
Let's see. I still have that in the other tab. I can do that.
Hopefully it won't get you a copyright strike, but it kind of shouldn't. I wouldn't think. I don't know.
Just be careful with the beep. No, I'm trying to think if I put anything BBC in my videos. Have I?
Don't use it.
Yeah. No. I have Doctor Who, and I have a Doctor Who clip in one of my videos.
Well, I don't think this one identifies as BBC. So
I have watched this a million times.
I know that I've had some of my.
I probably forgot to share audio on that. Hold on. Let me do that again.
Dude, you are my size.
The important part, I think.
Yeah.
You are literally my size, bro. You are my size.
I've had some of my videos blocked when Stool put stuff up on the BBC.
Yeah.
Just don't play more than 12 seconds.
Okay, here we go. Well, this is only 20 seconds, but.
Today we have a big contrast in temperature across the UK.
Can't hear it.
12 degrees over coastal parts of eastern England with cloudy skies, but in the sunshine in northwest Wales at RAF Mona, just up the road from Llanfair to Pwllgwyn, Gellgorgeric Windrobble, Llantysilio Gogogor, the temperature got to 21 Celsius. Fahrenheit.
Home run.
Just pops it out smooth as
he didn't even pause for it.
Yeah.
I would have hawked a loogie on myself. There's no way I could pronounce that.
My tongue would have been in a cast for a month.
Yeah, exactly. Mark Caesar knows what I'm talking
quite
about.
Quite literally tongue-tied. You get it twisted up between your teeth.
All right, that had to be one of his co-workers trying to mess with him.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Oh, he's going to. I have to look to see if he has or not. He's going to smudge my lens. I have a new camera, and when I got it, I was like, "You're not allowed to touch this."
Yeah, I'm with you, Mage. I still could not get halfway through that.
You smudge my lens, and I'm going to punch you. The acids of your hand stay on the lens and eat through the coating over time.
Oh,
Do not touch lenses.
He ruined my my 4K Sony one from touching the lens. Like ruined the lens. You could visibly see it. So with my new Canon, I'm like, you're not allowed to look at it. Don't breathe on it. Don't touch it. Like,
wait, you have a Canon, not a Nikon?
It's really funny.
Doesn't matter.
No, it's funny you would say that. This is the first Canon I've ever owned because I grew up in a Nikon, Fujifilm, Kodak, old school world.
No, this is a Canon shop here.
Okay.
I've never owned a Canon. This is the first Canon. I'll grab it. First Canon I've ever owned.
Okay, you hear that? The fan wars. Fan wars are over. It's Canon.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
I own 4 Nikon cameras, probably 5 if I really look. And this is my first Canon.
Because I have a Canon.
I owned Nikon since since the days of Nicormet and the Nikon FTN.
Let's see.
And I have Canon now. I
have a Canon because Diana gave it to me.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
My other camera. Well, my other camera at a convention. The tripod got knocked over, so it did not survive the crash.
That was a Kodak,
Diana
though,
sent me one of hers. What's that?
It was a Kodak, though, wasn't it? The one I gave you?
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, that was the Kodak.
However, Mostly what I do in Python and similar things. So
See, as
my
soon as we
preference-
start talking about cameras and stuff, I want to shoot some film and have a darkroom again. God,
Oh man,
Oh,
that
I
was
always
the addiction that never leaves.
I
I always
always
wanted-
wanted a dark room, but I wasn't
Oh, so
allowed to
dusty.
have one.
I always wanted that, but we went to digital cameras.
This is my old Sony. I kind of miss this thing, but it died.
Yeah, see, I
Why?
learned photography before the first transistor came out. So
You could use my bedroom as a dark room.
I wasn't born before the first I was born after the first transistor came out.
Well, didn't the
Oh,
first
my.
transistor come out in the 50s?
I thought. Wait a minute. Let me. I
yes,
thought it was
they
40.
they were used and stuff like that, but they didn't show up in consumer products until late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they showed up in radios first, and
Yeah, it was
When they-
one little particular brand, I forget, an off brand that we don't recognize today. You
Here
can
we
still
go.
find them today, and a lot of them are still operable. A lot of them need to have all the capacitors replaced. But you can pick them up for anywhere from $200 to $900.
Yeah, the first transistor was successfully demonstrated 23 December 1947.
yeah, it would be shortly after World War II.
Yeah,
Which
that's
led
what I
to
thought.
the important thing for me anyway about the transistor is it allowed much smaller computers and would lead to the development of the personal computer.
Mm-hmm.
What would I?
Okay, according to Wikipedia, the first transistor was invented in 1947.
Uh-huh.
The first consumer transistor radio went for sale in 1954.
So even that predates me. Okay.
But I really
There
love these.
isn't much that predates me, but that does.
Yep.
Mark
Yeah, I'm
Caesar.
surprised too. I thought those weren't until about 1960, but yeah, the first pocket radios were 1954.
Depending
Oh,
on
wow.
what month it came out, it does not predate me. Or it might predate me.
Mark Caesar, to answer your question, I'm a hoarder. That's why I have not got rid of my camera. It still kind of works, but I guarantee you, if I turn it back on, the eye broke on my Sony camera. Watch, it's probably gonna not work. Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the saddest things in photography is that they made all these light sensing and light measurement devices out of selenium cells, and the selenium cells break down over time. And so you got all these beautiful pieces of equipment that were just dead nuts accurate and very well built.
Wait.
And they're completely inoperable now because nobody makes selenium cells to replace them anymore.
What is
Yeah.
this weird environment where you can't just go download your tools off of SourceForge, and those are generally the best ones?
I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah, transistors has definitely gotten smaller. And of course, the big thing that made computers popular were the integrated circuits
Yeah.
that enabled them to
which
put
type?
several
PN or
components on a
PNP?
single chip.
All right, I'll repeat what I said. What kind of weird environment is this where you can't just go download your best tools off of SourceForge and they'll generally be better than the commercial ones?
I have never been able to download a belt sander from anywhere.
No, but you can download a 9mm.
Yeah, you sure
can.
can. Know
Well,
something
you can
better.
download the plans for 9mm.
Yeah, no, I have heard about the 3D printable guns.
Oh yeah. There's the bill trying to work through Congress about that one. Right?
Is because they're operable, and then you have an untraceable
Well,
automatic weapon.
They're operable, but generally they're only good for one shot because the bullet leaving the barrel heats up enough to warp the barrel.
No, ghost guns are out of control now. That's why they're passing bills, because you could get plans for a working fully auto weapon, and they work because the technology has caught up. There was actually, I can't believe I'm saying this, Isaiah was following a guy on YouTube whose house got raided and he died of a heart attack, but he's now the ghost gun hero. But he introduced the ghost guns to Europe, and it's a big problem in Europe right now.
The thing with ghost guns that they have been mentioning it all on the news the last couple of weeks about them is that with a couple of very minor changes to some leverage and stops inside of it, you can turn it into full auto with,
No, no, that's-
with basically just a file.
Exactly. And that, but that's the whole point. Some of the plans come fully auto, you know, and these are not one shot guns anymore. These are like fully operated,
Well,
you know.
I think the ghost guns you're talking about are different than the 3D printed models called the Liberator.
Yeah, they correct. Absolutely.
I'm talking about metal ones that, like, you know, you have to have some know-how, but they're semi-easy to make.
Yeah, the ghost gun is for folks out in the audience that don't know. The ghost gun is basically an AK-47 or an AR-15, where you can go out and you can buy a barrel. Okay, then you can go out and buy a receiver. Then you can go out and buy the transport, and then you can go out and buy the stock, and you can put them all together in your kitchen. If you know the proper sequence and have the proper tools, and you got yourself a fully functional AR-15, and there's no serial number on it because it never was a gun.
There's that, and also though there are fully downloadable plans, and there's a whole world behind it. There's I have to find. There's like a name of it, and there's a look. There's an actual ghost gun, and the reason it's so dangerous is because it's a fully auto 22, or you can make a 9, or you could make anything, and it's untraceable. I have to find out the specs for it, but you can literally download it off the internet. That's what they're trying to stop.
Just be sure to do it on somebody else's computer.
Yeah. Like, it's bad. And I didn't realize how bad of a problem it was. Hey, Trustee Abe.
For something like that, you go to the library and you download it onto a thumb drive.
But they still got you on camera at the library.
Well, no. You do it on... First of all, you change your IP address to your worst enemy's computer. Spoof your MAC address.
Well, how's it going, Trustee Abe?
Wait, I probably shouldn't tell people how to do things like this.
Well, with VPNs now, just about anybody can...
Well, VPNs don't spoof MAC addresses.
That's why I'm kind of stopping on the whole ghost gun thing, because I'm not pro ghost gun. There's a whole world behind it right now, and people are actually trying to stop it, because now any Yahoo with the internet connection can download real plans for a working gun.
Hey, you clearly haven't been to Indiana. You just passed constitutional carry.
I've been yeah. I went to school in Arizona, and I remember coming from Lefty, California, and being like, everyone has guns here.
I assure you, any Yahoo here already does have a gun. Usually legally, but
it's the same here too in California. Like, everyone has guns here too, and I think that's the one underrated thing. Like, even though I live in Lefty land, it's still America. People still have an insane amount of guns here too. Well, it's bad. It's bad.
I think people misunderstand American gun culture. We don't all have them, and a lot of us aren't like the gung ho. Like, it's my God-given right type. Most of us, if they have them, will either have them for hunting, or some of us will have them because we enjoy target shooting. I mean, sometimes people will have one just as like a last ditch of home defense.
There are more guns in the United States than there are people.
Times 2 or 3.
But it worries me the type of person who goes out and visibly displays their weapon.
Yes. And those are the people who you go to their house and you wonder where these 350 million guns all went, and this guy's got half of them in his basement.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I pointed out once before, the problem in America isn't that there are so many guns, it's an unequal distribution of guns. So we need a program to redistribute the guns so everybody has one.
I've told that story about...
And that way
I am among the many people who do not want and probably should not have guns.
And that way we can achieve gun equality in America.
You know, I'm still on the fence, because I'm all about self-defense. But when I was getting a divorce, I sold my comic book collection, and I had a real comic book collection. It was enough to pay for a divorce. Let's just put it that way. I let a man come to my house who I didn't know, who was from my neighborhood. He bought, I don't know, $6,000 or $7,000 worth of comic books off me. Okay. About a year later, he got in a fight with his wife, His wife calls the cops and is like, "My husband's a psycho. We have 60,000 guns in the house."
Okay.
I'm not kidding you. This man had over 60,000 guns in his house. Someone like that should not. You're crazy. He could have come back and set my house on fire, and he was
Wait.
crazy.
This is something.
Where do you put 60,000 guns?
He had it in his garage. The cops, there's a picture. The cops opened up the garage door, and the sheriffs were like, "What the F?" And the news didn't blurt it out the first time because everybody was so shocked.
Okay, and this is something that I'm sure could only happen in America. But last week when I was in the thrift store, I just had a random guy walk up to me and ask, "Do you know anyone who wants to buy guns?"
Well, throw a rock and you could probably hit 5 of them in the thrift store alone.
I was about to say that's not like it happens here. I could get one in a five.
Yeah, but
in
I
5 seconds.
can't imagine that could happen in any other country in the world, without the cops immediately coming in.
We're crazy. I'm not saying that we're not crazy in America.
Maybe Switzerland.
Like, we're crazy.
Russia?
Afghanistan?
Ukraine right now.
Well.
Afghanistan is the 3rd largest producer of firearms in the world.
After
Only
what? Czechoslovakia and
the
what?
United States and the UK. The UK is the size of Delaware, and they pump out more weapons than anyone else in the world.
No, I could get pretty much anything I want just across the highway. There's a pawn shop that we sell guns.
Yeah,
So-
pawn shops.
So Mark Caesar, the guy who had all those guns, like, I live in a semi well-off neighborhood. He was an ex-comic book artist, and he was kind of crazy. Like, I hoard sewing machines. You slowly build things up over time. And then one day you're like, oh crap, how did all this get here? So I could see and he was much older than me. So I'm sure he'd been collecting guns, the entire span of my life.
Well, and guns are much easier to collect, Somebody advertises they've got some, and you go see them and you try one out, and then he's dead and you've got his collection in addition to yours.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And what I don't get is, okay, this guy has 60,000 guns. What does a gun cost? Okay, some of them are $1,000.
I was about to say they're
some
not.
of them are 500. Let's say they're just 100. 60,000 times 100 is.
Well, that's 100,000. That's $6 million.
People
Ding, 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 ding.
People
Where
are
do you come up
not
with that
like-
money.
Hey, my neighbor has a Lambo. People are crazy around here.
Yeah,
Hey.
I do not think there is any way possible in America that you can come up with that kind of money legally.
I presented the argument I just presented to a friend of mine who put it on Reddit, and then I pointed out it's like, if you just substitute the word gun with wealth, it's the same. It's the argument for wealth redistribution.
Yeah.
One
I
thing
know
I am
that's sewing. I like that skid scratcher.
One thing I am pissed off about, though, when the slimy bastards disowned me, one thing I missed out on was the 2 Arasaki Type 99s that he had as spoils of war. Unfortunately, yeah, they're gone.
You just have to wonder, with all the stuff going on in Ukraine, can you just imagine like some young Ukrainian like 40 years ago who's inheriting a tank from his grandfather?
I got this
That's
from
a sweet thought.
I got this from a Naglin Moslin. I won't flash a firearm on YouTube, but this is a bayonet to a Naglin Moslin, and it's huge. But my pops had a large collection of firearms because he was a stereotypical American. Oh, and I have a World War I bayonet too.
Oh, that's got to be a whole bunch of fun.
Well, a lot of people don't get that the reason Russia wants the Ukraine back so badly.
Groovy.
This is World War I bayonet.
Isn't that pretty, though? It is.
and it's you. I've never cleaned it or anything. My dad wouldn't even let me touch it as a kid. But when he passed away, I inherited all of his stuff, and this is old. Yeah, so
Slim will try to swallow that shit.
Well, if he's had a tetanus shot, and go right ahead. This is old. This is old. This is scary. How long this is?
Yeah, what is that? Like a foot and a half?
Yeah, because
Now,
this.
Visualize yourself with that, having that on your gun, and now you got to stab this guy.
Well, a Naglin Moslin is almost my. I'm 5'9". A Naglin Moslin is like 5'4". It's
yeah. The point of bayonets was
rifle.
that yeah they figured that the guns were going to wound a lot of people that they weren't going to kill. So after you took most of them down, then you had to charge in and stab them to make sure they were dead.
Ugh.
Where's my?
It's a hell of a thing killing a man. Take everything he has and take everything he's got and everything he'll ever have.
I still have this. This is legal because it's a black powder. I love showing it off because it's my Marty Robbins. But this is a real Confederate Colt from the Civil War.
God, it's pretty for a real one. I mean, somebody kept it in good condition.
Oh, it's been in my it's been passed down through my family, and it ended up in my.
Yeah, it's amazingly clean for being an authentic one.
That's got the Italian serial numbers and everything. I think the wood was redone somewhere along the way because you can see someone used like a Dremel to get that into place right there. So this has definitely been redone, but all the metal is original.
Damn.
Yeah, it's been appraised and everything, but I wear it. So it loses value because I play with this thing. It's like I love this thing. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Marty Robbins, you should go look it up. It's a pose where he's sitting there with his firearm trying to look like a cowboy and not a cokehead. But Marty Robbins was one of my heroes, even though he was a complete cokehead. Yeah, I wear this ridiculous thing. We have a lot of cowboy festivals and stuff in my town because people like to think they're cowboys when they're not.
We have absolutely none of that here.
My God, there's a ton of that stuff in Iowa. There's a pretty huge country presence here.
And we don't really like to relive our Sin City days as much as we should.
Well, people here, like they like to say, oh, the Wild Wild West days. Not one person would survive in that era. Not one person would want to go back and live in that era.
Yeah, but that's what most of these MAGA crowd are going for. That they want the Hollywood version of the Wild West, where they think that whoever can draw their gun quickest is going to be the law.
And quick American history lesson, the average cowboy was either black or Hispanic because it was literally considered an undesirable job. No one wanted it. And Wild Bill invented the cowboy that we think of now that all the people play on the country music station.
Right.
After the end of the Civil War, a cowboy was one of the few jobs that the freed black slaves could get. That people would actually judge them on their abilities rather than on their race.
Absolutely. So it's sorry.
Wasn't there a rather large gay contingent of cowboys as well?
I wouldn't be surprised because look, you get to hang out with your loved one on long trips on a horse.
Yeah.
Where no one's messing with you. That's a great place to be gay right there.
Well,
no one's judging you.
I have a
on a cattle drive, you could be out there for months at a time without ever seeing a woman.
I have a question for Mage Grey Wolf. They say their neighbors like to walk around in camouflage. How do you know?
I knew you were gonna say that, Doc. I knew you were gonna say that. My neighbors walk around in camouflage. They just look like hillbillies.
Well, Mark, the thing is that it is the best of times for the majority of us, but it really sucks for some groups.
Yeah.
No, exactly. What did I hear? It's like society is in pockets, and it depends on where you live is how you're living, you know?
There's some people that live in some real shit today.
Those of us who aren't exactly healthy don't have it all that well, let me tell you.
I acknowledge that, technically I live below the poverty level in the U.S., and I'm still living a hell of a lot more than the average person in quite a few countries.
Oh, yes, I acknowledge that too.
Oh, I could take you to a few where people are living literally in old VWs and tin huts.
Oh, yoy.
I've become so gray.
Well,
I'm just accepting
especially when I see the stuff of the conditions that a lot of people are still living in a lot of countries in Africa. And I'm not even talking about remote villages. I'm talking about some of the, the most technologically advanced cities in Africa. And the average person there, is pretty shit and not much above a homeless person in the U.S.
Yeah, but I will say, like, in a place like Lagos, they have skyscrapers that rival New York. But they also are one of the poorest, like Nigeria is one of the poorest countries on earth, They have money and they let their people, they let the undesirables, so to speak, starve.
Well, not to give out names, but actually just somebody that I talk with regularly here, through Twitter and YouTube that lives in Africa. And it's like the big thing there is that they've got a refrigerator. That there's only a handful of people in their community who own refrigerators. So they're rich.
I know a large amount of people from America that have moved to Ghana, and 75% of them have moved back because there's certain things we take for granted, like electricity. Again, and paved roads as well.
Yeah.
I know quite a few people that moved to Africa that moved right back.
Sal talks about in South Africa, that they have the rolling blackouts all the time just because, the government is so corrupt that most of the energy they produce is being sold to neighboring countries. Mm-hmm. So their own citizens are having to do without.
Do you know that?
And they want to upgrade their systems.
Americans would be in the streets rioting if we didn't have our modern day conveniences.
Listen, internet is a human right.
I agree with you. No, I think it should be free everywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was free. I said it was a human right.
No, I think everybody should have internet access.
Yeah.
Like in Berkeley, if you go anywhere in Northern California, like if you sit next to any building, you get free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I do think that we need to have that here, that, just like the interstate highways, that the internet should be available to everyone regardless of income.
Absolutely.
Well, here in this neighborhood, we're starting to get a little bit of that. You can see in shopping center parking lots and everything, signs with, free internet. And one of the reasons I think, and I'm not kidding when I say this, that we've got it across the highway from me is the sizable homeless population that lives in the parking lot.
Yeah, I actually am surprised that they don't start doing that, that you're not seeing more of that, like apartment buildings and that, of just having a Wi-Fi that everyone can use so that each tenant doesn't need to have it hooked up individually.
Yeah, okay. Uh-huh.
But then there's a whole lot of stuff they can't do because it's an insecure connection. They certainly can't take care of their finances on the internet if it's not secure.
Well, no, I mean,
it wouldn't be a perfect thing, but I mean,
it would be as good as the people who are taking their laptop to a coffee house.
And also, it depends on where you are, and of course, how strong the signal is. There's I have to look that up. There's a Tesla statue in Northern California, and it just gives out free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the main thing that if they had it like for everyone in the building, or even better yet, like citywide Wi-Fi, would be to make sure that all the kids could use it for their schoolwork.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doesn't South Korea offer free internet access?
I don't know.
Which contributes to StarCraft being South Korea's national sport.
Awesome.
I did not know that.
Fucking awesome. I think that's awesome.
Well, I don't know. It's Korea's national sport. But...
I think everybody. I think everybody should have the internet for free. I don't think it should be a socioeconomic thing.
Well, at this point, internet access is, the way I see it, it's virtually required in order to do anything anymore. Even more so than a telephone was 70 years ago.
Well, it really has become that, you can't expect a child to go through the public schools without having internet.
No, you have to.
But if you put the child on the internet, they might see the word gay.
Good.
And the pedophiles, if you said that word, and the gay pedophiles will be after them. And
listen, I've seen schools block out a lot of things they don't want to see. They can block out that word if they want.
Hey, in this house, we say gay. Okay, in this
there you go.
In this state where I live, the state of confusion, we say gay.
The thing is, all right, bringing that up.
I'm so happy though that I'm not a kid now, and that the slimy bastards are not alive now, because they would have done everything they could to deny me internet access, which as we say, you absolutely need anymore.
Here's the thing that baffles me about the Florida law, though. Isn't it correcting a problem that doesn't exist?
Yes, exactly. And that's so much of the legislation that the Republicans are pushing are problems that don't exist, but they have convinced their voter bloc are things they need to be afraid of.
I do love that sometimes in Indiana, some legislation just quietly gets buried, probably because someone reminds someone it's like, in the future, someone's going to put this along with the time we tried to legislate the value of pi.
Okay, then. Yeah.
Well, and like that marriage thing that they just passed in Tennessee with no age limit.
That was changed.
Yeah, I can.
Pressure was too great, and they put an 18-year limit.
Okay, I had not heard the update on that.
Yeah, it just happened in the last 24 hours.
Okay. So somebody did a hay fill.
But yeah, you see that only happened after it got nationwide press, and even while it was getting nationwide press, some of the legislatures supporting it just shrugged it off that it was no big deal.
Yeah.
Well, I think that part of the point of that whole thing was to make that bill so objectionable to make a point, right? If they want that marriage of theirs that destroys the sanctity of marriage, we're going to write into law something even worse.
Yeah. I don't think so, because it was really Republican supported.
I have no idea.
Like Mark Caesar says.
Somebody did a count. I just read about this morning. Where there, of course, the Don't Say Gay bill and accusing all trans people of being pedophiles and groomers and all this. Those are the two hook words for the election season are going to be pedophile and groomer. And so they're passing all these laws, to create this morality that isn't necessary because none of these problems actually exist. Somebody did a count.
The problem is
they have so far
among those who are writing the legislation.
Diana, let Jenny finish.
Oh, okay.
They have so far counted 575 Republicans who have been brought up on sex charges from children to adults, to rape, of adults. And the county's not done. And I heard that another source that's doing county is up to 1,500.
Oh my fuck.
Okay. Now, when this counting's done, and these are all valid things from part records and state records and stuff, so it's not questionable. We have to start pushing that these people who are spouting this false morality have none of their own. They just want to control you, not themselves.
Okay, that's the problem, that the Democrats aren't going to push this. They're not.
Well, then we do it as citizens. We have the internet.
Yep.
And this is a classic narcissistic tactic where you accuse somebody of doing what you're doing.
Yes. Joseph Goebbels.
Yep. Projection.
Oh, it drives me. It really pisses me off. That really gets my goat.
Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender.
Oh,
listen, I'm sure we all want to take dating advice from Matt Gaetz.
What pisses me off most about it is just the degradation and insult that it is to so many trans people. I mean, Sinister, damn well that there are some advanced scientists who are trans. You know that there's politicians who are trans. You know that there's doctors who are trans, and nurses and teachers, and every high-end, fancy, educated position there's a trans person in it.
Yep.
And for them to just group everybody together and say, oh, they're pedophiles and groomers. It is just such an insult. These people should be put in fucking jail for defamation and libel. It's just it's just beyond the pale. It's just beyond the pale.
I agree with that. That's like a horrible accusation.
There's an idea.
And unwarranted.
If somebody's being bigoted against the whole group of people, could you bring them up on a class action lawsuit of defamation?
You have to show intent, and you'd have to show how they directly were involved in it.
I think it would be easy to improve.
Yeah, it's not very easy to prove defamation or libel. To be realistic.
I can scream all kinds of propaganda. If somebody else takes it upon themselves to go out and do the act, I am not necessarily liable for it. In today's world, they try to make people liable for it, but you have the freedom in America. You have the freedom to be a complete moron and spout out whatever you want.
Well, Alex Jones did eventually face legal consequences for that.
He's another one. He should be put in stocks, and we should at least be able to throw tomatoes at him.
We do have
rotten tomatoes.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily a big fan of public shaming. Cancel culture seems to be that at times, but
I'm old school public shaming, where you physically have consequences for your actions if you get people hurt. I'm
for using the same tools that your enemy is trying to use on you.
Absolutely.
Because it's gone too far now. We can't stand back and be nice about this. We have to fight them and start calling them names. And
I agree.
And making up complete lies about the right wing and do whatever they do to us and just turn it right back on them.
Actually, if they've already fired the first shot, it's fair to use the same weapons against them.
Well, Sinister Porpoise, I wonder if you would compromise on a method of public shaming. Make the person have to attempt to open a door on an icy floor.
Here's the thing. When it comes to Alex Jones, if I were the judge in that case, my punishment would be for him to work in the Comet Pizzeria while someone just as nutty as he is broadcast months of propaganda about a child sex trafficking ring in the basement. He runs in the basement.
Yeah, that would work.
And just wait for the inevitable to happen. But I realize I shouldn't be a judge.
Yeah, and Mage Wolf is correct that Alex Jones was found guilty in a default judgment because he had not presented everything that the court had required of him.
I thought that was a tort suit, I thought that was a civil suit, not a criminal suit.
I can't stand that whole side.
Yeah, but the court had subpoenaed a number of things from him that he just said he simply refused to produce.
In life, if you're not famous, and I mean like Tom Cruise famous, and you need bodyguards, rethink your life. Alex Jones walks around with bodyguards because he knows that people would retaliate on the threats that he said. He's threatened people, you know.
He was chasing someone going out of a Starbucks once who just wanted to be left alone, and then acted indignant when the person just turned around and threw his hot coffee on him.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I would not talk trash to Ben Shapiro if I see him, because at least Ben Shapiro walks around without bodyguards.
No, it would just say it's like. First of all, I'd probably accuse Ben Shapiro of being a trans man. This is about the right height. We need to start that rumor.
He does look 15.
You're evil, Park.
Do you know who I've seen in person and who needs bodyguards but does not walk around with them?
Sorry.
I heard that is Dennis Prager proudly walks around Hollywood. Which, again, if you're so anti homosexual, why do you walk around one of the gayest places on planet Earth?
He's looking for a date.
Yeah, cruising. He owns a bill. He actually gave a bunch of money to a homeless shelter. Him and this other right wing radio show, because they were famous out here before we found out their real sinister plot. They were LA famous because they're on KABC in Los Angeles, along with Larry Elder and now Ben Shapiro, which used to be a legitimate news source, and then turned into PragerU.
Well, I also think basically what we need for Ben Shapiro is just put a disclaimer at the bottom, like, warning kids, this is what happens if you get an education when you're not smart.
I told my son some things that I can't repeat online, but I told my son, if you're gonna watch this, then you have to know there's an opposing side, and this guy's wrong. Like I said, the only person I've told my son he cannot watch is Jordan Peterson. I am anti-Jordan Peterson. Come fight me.
My main problem with Jordan Peterson is most of his advice, if you can translate it back into normal English, isn't bad. But first of all, it's trite. It's not new.
Yes.
And then he puts this ideological spin on it, which doesn't need to be there.
He race baits. His race baiting it's bad for my blood pressure. And I told my son if he wants to go watch it at his mom's house, I'm not here to judge, but that's the only thing I've really been like, you can't, because he goes through phases, and as a kid, he'll be like, oh, this guy's been talking about the same BS for 6 months, and then they move on, because my parents were very controlling, and all it did was make me jump to the other side and be like, oh, what's this? I almost became a Muslim just to piss off my parents, and I found out that they actually had rules. It was a real religion. It wasn't just a movie. It was a real religion.
Yeah.
So, kids will go through phases.
Yeah, people who think anarchists are just people who don't want government.
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
Not realizing there's an entire... Hi, Athena. What are you up to? Do you want to come up here?
Yeah.
Hey, how long are we gonna go, Perp? Till 3?
Oh yeah, we have been going almost 3 hours. Probably should wrap it up soon.
Well, I would have been doing calculus homework, but apparently the site I need to do it on has been down all day because some storms hit Texas yesterday.
Go to Apostate.
Mage Greywolf, you are correct. Jordan Peterson is the definition of word salad. Like, and even if I caught my kid watching it, I wouldn't be mad. I'm just, watch what your kids are watching is all I gotta say. See who are influencing your children.
Well, if you're going to get out there and start being a radical and start laying on these guys exactly what they're laying on us, you have to be sure to say things like "it seems," though. That way, you're not stating it as a fact. It's a seems. Yep. So, and some people say,
okay,
and push for changes in the way these algorithms work. So, if Jordan Peterson gets recommended, ContraPoints is burlesque about Jordan Peterson gets recommended.
How's it going, Ox? Do you know?
Hey, Ox. We're just talking about wrapping up.
So this happens with atheist content, okay? And it happens with other things, but the Christians, it will also LGBTQIA plus content that I've noticed. Certain videos I watch, a church commercial will come up, but they paid to be on certain, like, it's LGBTQ, I want to come up, or like, I watch a lot of old Malcolm X stuff. So I get a lot of Muslim commercials, and it'll be like, "Are you living in sin? Come to Allah."
That's
a lot of people.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm just saying that's not the way internet advertising normally works. They buy ads from YouTube. YouTube decides where to distribute them. They don't usually buy it specifically for the channel.
Yeah.
They stalk me with that religious crap.
A lot of people have been saying that they see PragerU ads on the front of the Vice Rhino videos.
They're very specific.
They're trying to target certain keywords, probably.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, but they hammer me with the propaganda.
Okay. Yeah, we should go and do the wrap up here.
So also get an ad blocker.
Who has anything they want to plug before we go here?
I'd like to plug that some of our community folks who understand computers and the web and stuff really well get together and start establishing some ways to affect the search engines and to get these people hooked up with some very unsavory things.
Yeah,
like they've done to us.
We need to change. We need to open source the algorithms and regulate. Basically, we need to establish a version of the fairness doctrine that recommends both sides.
I'm thinking more like get them to recognize that Santorum is just stuff that comes out of your ass after you got fucked.
That already did that. Oh, yeah, people already did that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about doing.
They need to get all the religious ads off of YouTube.
Rick's time is past.
I did not want to be reminded of my former senator. God damn you.
He was my former senator, too.
I had to make a point. I'm sorry.
Hey, look on the bright side. Okay. Maybe you won't get Mehmet Oz.
All right, so
what the heck? Why are people like him allowed to exist?
Okay, we're trying to wrap up here. So,
okay.
Porpoise, did you have anything you wanted to plug before we go?
I am the Sinister Porpoise. When you think of Sinister Porpoises, think of the Sinister Porpoise, and I just dropped my iPad on the floor. I do have a YouTube channel. It's kind of inactive right now because I've been busy. After finals, I'll probably do something on Ada Lovelace. If you want to check it out, it's just the Sinister Porpoise. Be excellent to each other, and so long, and thanks for all the fish.
And the descriptions for everyone here will be in the description, or the links for everyone will be in the description of the chat here.
Porpoise, was that you at the Miami Aquarium yesterday who beat up on that trainer?
Probably not.
No, I think that was one of her minions.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Diana, you got anything?
I don't have all that much. My Thursday night show with me and Kate will be doing our thing. So come on and have a look at us. And I've got to really get to work on the other channels and stuff that I'm trying to get going. But just stick around for me, and we'll see what happens here. And let's see. You can throw me all the money you want, and good stuff like that. And what can I tell you?
Oh. Okay,
yeah.
Will.
All right, hold on. How's it going? I'm Godless Sewing of the Godless Sewing channel. Go subscribe to the Godless Sewing channel. Right now, I have a video up about why you shouldn't always believe the BS that you see on YouTube. I used Gojo on a sewing machine and mayhem ensued. Also, I'm working on a video right now, so I'll have another one out soon. Godless Sewing channel. Like, subscribe. I'm a non-political atheist. Come on down.
Okay.
One more thing. I'm a non-religious atheist as well. Come on down.
And for me, I'll just be back here tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Central. And with the chills Saturday at 6. So with that, I would like to thank all my Patreon supporters.
Don't I get to say goodbye?
Oh, I'm sorry. Jenny, did you still have some final words you wanted to throw in?
No, I got a boring life and I'm not doing nothing.
I got skipped too.
I'll be with Purple tomorrow night. And
yeah.
I'll probably be turning tricks in lacrosse on Saturday. Come and see me. I'm done.
Alexa, how far is La Crosse, Wisconsin from Los Angeles, California?
From Los Angeles, Cross is 1,952 miles away by car.
I'll see you Saturday night. I have a Ford Flex. That's 2 tanks of gas. Jenny will be busy on Saturday night.
Okay, I picked the hotel.
All right, only if it has a hot tub in it.
Oh, we have some of those, yeah.
We do too.
My hotel has hot tub.
America. Now that's a good way to end the show.
Okay. Well, I need to thank my newest Patreon subscriber is Skitch Crasher.
Oh yay!
Who also went to my Amazon wish list and sent my kitties some interesting toys.
Awesome.
Aww.
And Ox and Robert X, who are both Patreon subscribers and do the moderating for me, so they're the ones bopping all the spam bots. Beautiful. The Lavender Lady.
Who the hell is that?
Yep, Greg Hartwick, Dog, and Jyuni the Apostate. So I appreciate y'all keeping me going, and we will see you all tomorrow night.
Oh boy.
Rock out with your clock out.
Autobots, roll out.